One indiscriminate day, the world was plunged into catastrophe. People were forced underground and had to rely on the vast subway system to survive. This is how the story of Metro Royale begins. And so, welcome! After the catastrophe, the world was changed forever. New buildings popped up all over the surface, and a myriad of factions no one had ever heard of before sprung forth. The world underground kept developing, growing increasingly complex even as danger lurked in every corner. Some areas even saw the arrival of never-before-seen monsters. To survive in this harsh environment, you must arm yourself and gear up, scour the world for supplies, and eliminate enemies for their loot. Then make your way to the return point and evacuate within the allotted time. After evacuating, you can exchange your on-hand supplies for wealth to purchase even more advanced weapons and equipment. Become even stronger. In times like these, people will do anything to gain an advantage. That's why, when you're out collecting supplies, besides looking out for the various factions, stay vigilant against other players' attacks. If you get eliminated, they'll be able to loot your supplies. However, don't be discouraged. In this place, you'll have like-minded comrades to support you. You will experience the hardships of growth together as you gradually transform into mighty heroes. Are you all ready to face this dangerous yet thrilling new world? Welcome to Metro Royale Rookie Manual. Today, we'll be introducing Metro Royale modes to help you get to know the features and gameplay of each mode. In Metro Royale, there are 4 modes: the basic map's basic mode and undercover mode, and the advanced map's advanced mode and assault mode. In basic mode, players can open crates or eliminate enemies in the map to get supplies and loot, then reach the return point to evacuate and take home the loot. Basic mode can be a great training ground to help players get familiar with the map environment and resource allocation. And if you don't evacuate safely, no need to worry. Although being eliminated in basic mode will cause your supplies and loot to be dropped, you won't lose your equipment. Activating undercover mode requires an undercover agent ID. Players don't need to bring their own equipment, as they will be undercover and disguised as bandits in the map. Bandits in the map won't initiate attacks on players. This allows players to freely travel between different areas, open crates to collect supplies, without bandits getting in your way. But if players actively attack and eliminate a bandit, their identity will be exposed. Do keep in mind that undercover equipment is weak, so stay vigilant against other players. Activating advanced maps requires a certain loadout value. Compared to basic maps, advanced maps are more abundant in supplies and have more diverse gameplay. Radiation zones can only be found in advanced maps and are full of supplies, which attracts lots of players. Many enemies are also stationed there, making for intense combat. Players eliminated in advanced mode have a certain probability of dropping their equipment, leading to high risk and high rewards. Activating assault mode also requires a certain loadout value. When entering assault mode, players don't need to bring their own equipment and will enter a match that is already underway with other players. Enemies in the map won't initiate attacks on players, but players that actively attack and eliminate them will have their identity exposed. Players eliminated in assault mode won't lose the equipment they had before the start of the match, and players who evacuate safely will obtain additional rewards. And since advanced maps are abundant in supplies, playing assault mode is a great opportunity to cash in on the low risk and high reward. That's it for the 4 Metro Royale modes. Choose the mode that best suits you and enjoy the fun of different modes. Welcome to Metro Royale Rookie Manual. Today, we'll be introducing the Frontline Confrontation map. Frontline Confrontation is a Metro Royale map suitable for rookies. This is where the Steel Front and the Cobras once fiercely fought. Members of both factions have remained even after the ceasefire. Due to the urban areas of Frontline Confrontation being relatively spread out, there is a lower chance of encountering other players when collecting supplies. The overall pace of this map is relatively relaxed. However, the terrain being mostly flat results in a very open view. Most areas only offer trees or rocks as cover. Thus, you'll need to be extra careful of enemies when moving about and evacuating. That's why, many players opt for the underground routes. Frontline Confrontation has 5 underground areas, 2 subway lines, a tunnel, a storage vault, and an armory. Be aware that enemies hiding in the dark underground areas are difficult to detect. Those who wish to safely explore the underground areas should bring a night vision helmet, night vision goggles, or a thermal sight scope to see enemies in the dark. Since Frontline Confrontation doesn't have a radiation zone and urban supplies are spread out, those wishing to collect supplies quickly can go to the underground storage vault connected to Battle Line. After scavenging the surface, head deeper underground to search for more supplies. Furthermore, Frontline Confrontation has 2 password-locked doors, located at Tribe and Yasnaya PD. They must be opened using password letters of the corresponding color. Password letters are commonly found in the file cabinets or file packages. The supply crates behind the password-locked doors contain valuable items that can be sold and are important resource points. Of course, you can also challenge the bosses. Apart from the 2 permanent bosses marked on the Frontline Confrontation map, bosses also randomly spawn. These bosses have high health and varied attacks. Before challenging them, make sure to have enough ammo and consumables. When fighting a boss, utilize the cover of your surroundings or move quickly to dodge attacks. Defeating these powerful enemies provides a chance to get better equipment. That's all for this intro to the Frontline Confrontation map. Go explore it yourself. Welcome to Metro Royale, Rookie Manual. The old blockade zone was formerly a military-restricted area, but now 2 evil forces divide the land. If Frontline Confrontation could be considered as a new player's tutorial, then Old Blockade Zone would be their first real adventure into the underground. Old Blockade Zone is more abundant in supplies than Frontline Confrontation. However, accessing the Old Blockade Zone's advanced mode also has a higher loadout requirement. Old Blockade Zone is a dense urban area with tightly packed buildings. While collecting supplies, it's common to encounter other players, so don't let down your guard while exploring. Of course, you can also move around via the underground routes. Although Old Blockade Zone only has 1 subway line, it's vast and complex, connecting multiple areas of the underground. Of those areas, the deserted base is a dark zone. Dark zones have lots of supplies, but are also shrouded in danger. Night vision equipment is a must. Continue following the subway line to reach the Radiation Zone. The Radiation Zone has the best rewards, but also the most risk. It contains valuable supplies, but is full of radiation and danger. When entering, be ready to face radiation and enemies. Besides the fast procurement of supplies in the Radiation Zone, Old Blockade Zone also has 3 password-locked doors, blocking you from some high-value sellable items. They're located in the barracks, snake pit, and the underground garage. Password letters of the corresponding color must be used to open the door and obtain the supplies. To obtain better supplies and equipment, you will need to challenge and eliminate bosses. Apart from the 2 permanent bosses marked on the map, there are also a few points that randomly spawn invasion bosses that provide more opportunities to obtain equipment. That's all for this intro to the Old Blockade Zone map. Go explore it yourself. Welcome to Metro Royale, Rookie Manual. Today, we'll be introducing the Misty Port map. Misty Port was originally a small portside town with a pleasant climate, but a few incidents left it a desolate area that is now restricted. Only 2 major forces remain, competing for resources. Misty Port's main activity area is 1,700 by 900 square meters. It has rich and complex terrain, and although the urban resource points are scattered, there are many zip lines around the map connecting to the subway line, allowing you to get around quickly. Because of this, Misty Port's overall battle pace is quite fast and intense. The 2 boss spawn points act as gathering points for battles. Compared to other maps, Misty Port's underground isn't as dark and night vision equipment isn't as necessary. Although the subway line is very long and spans the entire map, those wanting to quickly collect supplies will have to go to the Radiation Zone, the mine warehouse. The mine warehouse is located in the upper right side of the map. Many mutated enemies lurk there, and the large warehouse lab at the center randomly spawns a mutant boss Variant F who uses fire, or Variant P who spews venom. These mutants guard the warehouse's valuable supplies. Compared to the two previous maps, the high-value sellable items in Misty Port are more common. To quickly get these supplies, you can skip opening crates in the radiation zone and head to the 3 password-locked doors instead. Obtain password letters of the corresponding colors to open them, and obtain the loot within. There are 2 fixed bosses in Misty Port, Firejoy and Fire Roy, that use fire attacks. When challenging them with teammates, spread out as much as possible. Also, be aware that there is chance in each match for the bosses to become reinforced. The bosses can then transform into special bosses that use drones and shields, Handsome Jesse or Handsome Pete. When facing off against them with teammates, make sure to focus your fire. Defeating these powerful enemies provides a chance to get better equipment. That's all for this intro to the Misty Port map. Go explore it yourself.
Introducing PUBG Mobile's Metro Royale. Aside from the classic Battle Royale mode, now it also includes the Metro Royale game mode. Metro Royale tests players' shooting and evacuation strategies. Make sure to load up your inventory with equipments, ammunition, and healing supplies before entering the battlefield. There are 2 extraction points on the map. Plan your route strategically to maximize the extraction of your loot and return safely to the lobby. The main objective will be maximizing the loot value before heading to the extraction point within the time limit, as the loot will carry forward for your progress in future games. There are different types of unique bandits, ranging from normal bandits to snipers and cobra bandits. Make sure to defend yourself from other players too. Survival should be your first priority, as all current inventory items will be lost upon elimination. Buy various weapons, armor, attachments, and advanced items from the merchant in the black market to upgrade your loadouts. Progress will be carried forward, which can continuously enhance the strength of your equipment. Choose the map selection at the bottom left side. Currently, there are 4 maps with unique areas, enemies, and interactions for you to explore. Gain access to advanced mode as you progress, where there are more challenging enemies, higher tier loot, and access to the dangerous radiation zone. The new chapter of Metro Royale introduces a new mode called Zombie Uprising, featuring zombies in place of bandits, significantly more dangerous enemies, new weapons, and higher tier loot. There are many new zombie bosses introduced, each with their own unique characteristics. Keep an eye on the map, as bosses will spawn throughout the game as night arrives. It introduces a day and night system where nighttime exploration becomes significantly dangerous with increased mobs and boss spawns. Stick with your team.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is a brand new week in the PUBG Mobile Super League Southeast Asia Metro Royale Edition. My name is Circla together with the amazing Juju, and we are now in week number 2.
Yeah, when it comes to the Metro Royale, the fortune just favors the brave or the greedy ones or the one that actually playing it safe. We are back for another round of this zombies time and we're loving this. And just to let you guys know, this has been going on for 2 weeks when it comes to the group stage. We're down to week number 2.
Yes, and so far we have seen some of the teams perform really well, like Fellas ID did fairly well, and we had FaZe Clan, Boom Esports, who also showed a good amount of challenge to the other teams as well. So it will be an interesting week because we're done with week number 1 and the teams will have a good idea of how the other teams play, what is probably the most efficient way to play this game mode because it is a new game mode, so everyone is still discovering. Expect this week to be even more explosive than the weeks before.
And speaking of a week before, hopefully we have everybody eject themselves in time and on time when it comes to extraction points. I think we can learn a lot of lesson when it comes to week number 1. Yeah, definitely everybody have to keep their timers on the clock every single time. But in case you guys just join us for week number 2, yeah, we're done with week number 1, which happened last week. We're down to 24th August, which going to be group A, B first, and then A, C later. We're going to rotate to A, D. So there's going to be 6 maps to be played here every single day.
Yes, and only the top 6 teams from the group stage will proceed to the grand finals that will be happening on the 7th of September. So mark your calendars, ladies and gentlemen, because we are in week 2. We only have 1 more weekend to go, and then it will be done. Every round, there will be a round robin, and every day it will be 6 matches being played. But of course, there's a round robin format, so everyone will have an equal amount of games to play at the end of the day. And in this game mode, there's only 6 teams that will be playing at a certain round. So it's not like the usual Battle Royale format. It's a little bit different, including the point system.
Now, when it comes to the score points, we have the loot value, also with the players' eliminations too. When it comes to the loot value, it depends on the loot after they extract themselves out. We can calculate afterwards. But for players' elimination, it's going to be 300,000 points per elimination. That's still going to be high value. And then we do have a bonus point for weekly. So 20 points for first place. And then we deduct the points from there's going to be second place with 17, third place with 15, fourth place 13 points. 5th place at 10 points, and we just reduce it even further down.
Well, these players, they are playing for a total prize pool of $10,000 in which the first place will take home $1,500 and it dwindles down naturally. But besides that as well, we also have attendance bonus per match for team, which is $50 per match. So something for teams to play for every round.
And speaking of everybody can win something, all the 12 teams that will at least secure some prize pool by the end of this run of the tournament. Group A, we have Team Mantap, FLS, ETS. Group B, we have MCR, Sam9 and FaZe Clan. For Group C, we have AKG, Moms or MetroMini, Prime. And then we have Group D, HLV, Boom and Nong. Now, so far you talked about FLS and they are one of the top teams, but when it comes to the mode, some of you guys pretty new to this.
Yeah, so to explain the game mode is that it's going to start in a smaller map, not like your usual Battle Royale maps. And these teams will need to plan their routes. And while they move from point to point, they will need to battle other players if they do meet them. And the objective here is to collect loot, collect supplies, and extract themselves in time within the time frame of 20 minutes.
Now, we do have two different maps to be played here when it comes to week number 2. It's going to be the first map, Zombie Uprising. That's going to be the fixed map for this tournament. Next one, we have Misty Port. Now, for the Zombie Uprising, this is going to be the loadout so far. So everybody will have the same loadout for each of the team to accommodate themselves depending on the map specialties.
Yeah, unlike your regular game, if you were to play it on your own, you need to purchase your own loadout. But this, for this game mode, everyone is given the same amount of loadout. So this is the result from week number 1. So Fellas ID, they topped the group, so they got maximum points of 20. And these points will be collected over the next 2 weeks, including this week. And once we have tabulated all 3 weeks, only the top 16 will move into the grand final. So collecting these points will be important every weekend.
Yep, and so far for AKG, I remember what had turned for their side. Arkong, unfortunately, we're going to talk about that later on regarding their strats, right? But when it comes to map rotation, like I mentioned before, each group rotation will play the same 2 maps there, which can be Zombie Uprising and Misty Port will be introduced in this week. So A and B will play Zombie Uprising first 2 maps. It's going to be Misty Port as well. And then we're going to go A and C and finish off the day another Zombie Uprising and Misty Port with C and D group.
Yeah, so if you don't see your favorite team playing, they probably will be playing in the following round. So just refer back to the groupings and it will be run in a round robin format as mentioned in the graphic earlier on. So we're going to start off a game number 1. And last week you were on the broadcast. What's your thoughts about the state and also how the teams are playing now?
Again, not going to lie, I mean, just to relive the moment, right? Arkong from Group D, AKG did so well eliminating all the other teams out there, but unfortunately they didn't make it out on time, and they were the only team that actually have to loot, but they couldn't find those extraction point at the very last minute, and it was only 1 player. If you guys just join us, have no clue about Metro Royale, first, like how you mentioned, Cloud, it's going to be the loot value. That's going to be the most important one. Yes, great to get player elimination, but it won't be as much compared to the loot value itself. Every single team have to extract all players alive to make it as a whole team loot value can be translated into points later. If they have 1 player that left out in the minimap, all the other loot that's been taken by the other teams extracted out before, it will not be counted. And that's the case for AKG. That's going to be redemption time for them in week number 2. And compared with Group A, which we're going to head over later on. Sam9 and nongYing. This is going to be the 2 teams that love the brawl so much.
Yeah, so one key thing that you mentioned, and that is one of the key takeaways here, is that every player will need to be able to extract themselves in time within the 20-minute time frame. If they cross the 20-minute time frame and there's still 1 player left, that's it. No points are counted as much as they would have looted. So loot is important, but at the same time, getting themselves out of the map is going to be important as well within the time frame. And since these teams, they do carry level 6 bags, right? Yes, it's huge. It's bigger than your Battle Royale that at maximum you can bring a level 3 bag. But they will still need to maximize the space inside the loot, inside their bag. So even if they see a low value loot, they need to consider, is it worthwhile for them to bring that loot or not?
I agree. It's going to be pick and choose. And also when it comes to pick and choose, there are times that maybe they were going to have a better loot later on, but they didn't take that particular loot early. And then when time is ticking down, they realize, hey, we should have taken that loot before. It's going to be very tricky and brutal way to go. It's a brutal format. It's not for everybody when it comes to Metro Royale. Honestly, you have to pick and choose. There's so many things to consider and factor in as the bosses do. Speaking of the bosses here, the bosses do actually offer high valuable loot, but you cannot actually fight against the bosses by yourself. There will be variant P, variant F. There's so many variants of the zombies out there. Definitely not going to be easy for the teams. And last time I saw on the side of MCR, coming up from Group C, MetroCeria, they almost can extract themselves, but unfortunately, the boss happened to be spawning around the extraction point. So unfortunately, they cannot exit out unless they dealt with the bosses, but due to the time restriction, they couldn't make it out. There's also something to consider just to clear off things in the very last minute. Make sure the extraction point is clear as well. That's super important.
Yeah, so the smokes will definitely not help in that sort of situation, right? And even if you smoke, right, because the extraction point is like that one small circle, like even if your opponents come by, they'll be like, you're definitely there. So a blind spray into that area will probably hit them and will stop them from extracting themselves. So like what you say, right, clearing their surroundings is very, very important. Popping out the smoke, great. They can definitely do that. But if they don't clear that surrounding out of the bosses or even like other teams, then they cannot extract as well. So from what we have seen so far, the battle during the extraction point is one of the most exciting parts of the game, because that is where teams are really hoping to get away with the loot. But a lot of times we've seen teams being heartbroken for that.
And speaking of that heartbroken moment, just to recap last day on last week as well, when it comes to Sunday, I think it was FaZe Clan and SLV, correct me if I'm wrong, that actually being surprised, these two teams, either one of them, there's a bin, like a garbage bin or a garbage truck that a player can hide into next to an extraction point. And now when the other team want to exit out, the other team that actually don't have that much high value of loot before, they've been waiting around the extraction point for the longest time. It's a bit of a gamble for them because there's going to be a lot of extraction points, 6 across the entirety of the map. It's going to pick and choose whether they can gatekeep the right one to surprise the other enemy team. So what they did was they snatched away all this loot in the very last minute.
Yeah, it's almost like a roll of a dice, right? And if you see that team there, you take them out, you snatch everything, like what you said. But we're going to jump on to game number 1 right now. And we're going to start off in the zombie uprising map. And the fortune favors the brave. Here we go.
Now, every single map have its own specialty, like how we talked about before. For this case, it's going to be mine warehouse, the most loot in there. But it's going to be some radiation zone, despite it's one of the highest value loot plays. The problem with mine warehouse, with those radiation, is so difficult to actually see what's going on if somebody else coming in. Second is going to be the boss's spawn will be multiple in there as well. So they have to make sure they are aware and they have to be prepared for those fights, despite it's quite a high loot place. Thirdly, is also there's going to be a lot of teams aiming for the same thing, which usually going to be the same nice priority to go straight to mine warehouse the moment they get into this map. Now, speaking of that, there's not many entry on mine warehouse, so there will be some gatekeeping coming up towards this side.
Yeah, so far the spread is quite equal, I must say, for all these teams, at least at the starting spawn. But because it's a smaller map, although it looks like they have a good spread on the bigger map when it's open, but actually they're quite close to each other. Now, it looks like we're going to get the first boss fight here, and this will bring them a good amount of loot as a start for FLS.
Seems like FLS found themselves early bosses here, so they're definitely going to be having a good start. Look at the red, means high value loot. There's going to be a very variety of colors. If I'm not mistaken, red will be one of the highs, and there's purple, and there's also gold, which can be slowly down the tier. But for the side of FLS, they have been playing super smart in this particular map. We do know Zombie Uprising don't offer as much value loot compared to last week's Arctic base. So when it comes to Zombie Uprising, Fellas ID, they do prefer to play outside of the radiation zone, and actually scored quite okay.
Yeah, and if you think about it as well, Fellas ID, they are very good at player eliminations too. So they have a good balance of eliminating other teams and also collecting loot for themselves. And by eliminating other teams, it's sometimes not about them collecting those points for them, but it's also about denying away the points from the other teams as well. So that is a strategy that they deploy on week number 1. But of course, that's already revealed in week number 1, and all the other teams are able to see what they like to do. So this week, it's a matter of the other teams trying to overcome FaZe ID and whether they can be counted this week. And it's also for FaZe ID to be able to be versatile enough to adapt to situations where team would want to take them out.
Yeah, but the side of 7-9 especially, we talked about how they always love those radiation zone, but this time I think they're going to go for a bit of a brawl with MCR. And 7-9, also another team, which is going to be nongYing, used to be one of the arch nemesis against each other. These two teams really love the brawl. But for MCR, they always want to play it safe. Unfortunately, if you happen to be bumping into 7-9, you cannot play that much safe anymore. You have to force to take the fight anyhow, like in this case. MCR, I-chan in trouble.
Well, he has to go up against 7-9, and 7-9's firepower is no joke. We're talking about Loyu in the lineup. Even Kin, who has professional experience as well, they definitely know how to shoot. And if it's 1v3, it's going to be a bit hard. So, looks like this is going to be quite difficult, but who knows if we can pull off a clutch. Kin is going to go in, and it's going to be a straightforward knock by him.
Oh, that's got a 300,000 of worth point there, taking those eliminations. But I don't know, there's so many ways to actually play this game mode right now. You can actually go for the brawls like how ETS versus FaZe Clan, Nax and Bans. And Zhao seems to be, Jad, sorry, having a bit of a trade between these two on top of the radiation zone. But unfortunately, for ETS, they will not make any points when it comes to this round.
Yeah, the moment you ended your sentence, they ended their round as well. So unfortunately for ESTIR the Strong, they have to stay strong for the upcoming following rounds. Being the first team to be eliminated, it will be 0 points for ESTIR the Strong. So this is the thing, ladies and gentlemen. If your entire squad gets wiped out as well, whether it's by another team or whether it's by a boss or any other way, then unfortunately, no points at all. And 0 points inside of the Metro Royale mode is huge. I mean, we're talking about other teams gaining like what? Millions of points in.
Yeah, that's kind of true. It's so difficult to keep up the track when it comes to the numbers, though. Maybe we'll try to figure out something in the future, since it's a new format and a new mode to be played in esports. So maybe one day we can actually shrink it down when it comes to the numbers. We're down to like millions and millions by the end of tomorrow, by the way. But we're not done with MCR versus side of 7-9. It's going to be 2 teams out in this case. So more loot to be taken by the other teams if another team goes down here.
Well, Lanzi comes in. Okay, his opponent's pretty low, and that's going to be another knock and another 300,000 points secured by 7-9. Not only that, utilities will be looted up, and also the potential points are stolen away. And with the 2 early eliminations for 7-9, they're doing pretty okay, but they probably need to refocus themselves onto getting higher value loot to catch up.
Speaking of high value loot, so far FaZe already secured himself over 1.3 million, and FaZe is actually catching up. Look at the race between these two teams. 7-9 on there, then they're just done with the fight, starting as a trio here instead of 4 players coming into Team Mantap. It's going to be a different story entirely. I think they're waiting for the spawn, waiting for night time to get those loot from the horde of the zombies.
Okay, a different strategy here, playing for time now, waiting for that moment. But Team Mantap, they have to start bringing in the points because they are negative value for now, as they lost that 1 player early on. As for FaZe ID, very active around the map. They're doing pretty well. We're talking about 1.4 mil, and they're still going in for loots all around the map. So with like teams like Team Mantap not really moving around, this will give like space for FaZe ID, FaZe Clan, who seems to be loving to focus on the objective of getting loot, and they're getting the numbers on the board.
Numbers, I know it's mind-blowing. It's 2 million. And so far, the highs we had in Zombie Uprising, I think it was in week number 1, around over 4 million, almost 5 or 6. That's going to be lesser number compared to Arctic Base. I mean, like, we definitely going to have a different map when it comes to this week, which is going to be a Misty Frost. But when it comes to Arctic Base, usually the second map will have, Misty Port. When it comes to the first map, it's always lesser than the second map. So the second map is where a lot of teams will try to take advantage of. But so far, I think what FaZe Clan are doing right now is going in the right direction. I think around 4.8 mil, probably where they try to extract out almost close to 5 million there. And always going to be another sort of strategy is going to be they are letting one player to hold all the millions and try to extract him out first. In this case, Pram with 41,000 worth going against him Mantap. This is going to be the frag. The frag are always going to go for very low value loot and try to aim for those eliminations.
Well, you ask for eliminations from Pram and he will get it. That will be one out of Team Mantap. So Team Mantap down to one last player, and that's going to be Piren. And he's around the corner as well. So the strategy of staying quiet looks like it didn't work out for them as Fellas ID rotated around that area. And now it's only one player left. It's not looking good now as Prem. Okay, took him a while, but finally he found it. And Team Mantap becomes the next team to be entirely eliminated.
For MCR, that's down to 2 players. They're probably in trouble too, but as long as they have players alive, it's gonna be okay. I'm back to where the zombies horde. It's gonna be Prime versus the entire horde of the zombies on this side. There's so many high valuable loot as well after they finish off Team on top players. That's definitely devastating and heartbreaking to watch every single time their loot being stolen by another player.
Yeah, I know, right? And that's not only 0 points for them, but they also contributed loot towards Fellas ID. But I'm not sure what level of a value their loot will bring to Fellas ID. I don't think it's really much. So it's more of like utilities for them to use across the map rather than the actual value of the loot itself. But then again, of course, for Fellas ID, they wouldn't mind collecting those 300,000 points per player by those eliminations.
Yeah, for those eliminations, I mean, like, it's something that you cannot be stolen by a different team despite you being eliminated. At least they score some points. There's also some pro and cons into it, but we do have our variant app here for MCR. Despite they only have 2 players, but the variant app will not make it easy with the missiles just now. So for Randrash, that's going to be not the highest value play, but they're trying to gain as much and work things out as a duo. So taking a boss as a duo, it's doable, but it will take a lot of time. They have to find the weakness points for their variant app right now to make sure that they can secure another loot, and that's going to be a done deal. Now, speaking of that also, Cloud, looking at, like example, right? Sam9, Loyu is going to be the high loot player. They're always going to put one player in that one particular role and try to exit him out as fast as they can after he's done with the looting.
Right, so that's one of the strategies by Sam9 that is still being worked out by every other team, like the meta of this game, because it's a new game mode, so everyone's still rediscovering what is the best way to play. But now we do have Fellas ID, and they are surrounded by hordes of zombies, including a boss here. And Bram, he does have his teammates together with him, and all they need to do right now is not only take out the boss, but they need to aim for the weak spot of the boss as well. So, like what we saw earlier, that boss, the weak spot is the heart area, like the red glowing area. And every boss have their own glowing area. That should be the main aim in order for them to take down the boss as quickly as possible.
And just for tips for you guys as well, when it comes to nighttime, there's more zombies and there's going to be a horde and they'll be more aggressive during nighttime. I mean, it's very much like the real zombies that we've seen in movies. And whenever they make any sound, if there's a horde, so the entire horde, even though it's just one bullet that you just happen to be trigger fired, it's going to be the entire horde chasing you down. So there's no way to smoke yourself out in that certain circumstances. And for MTR, I don't know, is it lucky or is it unfortunate? It depends on how they take this boss down, because they got themselves multiple bosses at the same time. Definitely going to push themselves to loot value.
Yeah, and also got to be careful of their ammunition as well. That's something they need to observe. So far, the boss, this one is quite aggressive. Like, he chased them up from the first floor to the top floor, and they're still going for it. So for now, if we see MCR in terms of value, they're pretty low, negative 476,000 because they lost 2 players fairly early on. So for them to catch up to this, they have to win this boss to hopefully be able to recover the bad value that they have lost.
The question is also, Claire, it's down to manpower, right? I mean, the more people you have alive means you have more pockets to actually stash into all those valuable loot. So we can actually try to see if MCR can efficiently try to maximize with their pockets that's available right now. But I have to fight another variant AF here twice in a row around the same rooftop. For MCR, they know the weak point, so it's going to be no problem for them to deal with this. Randresh will try to be the tanker for Avist. So as long as the boss keep going back and try to chase Randresh down, they can take it out. But if it keeps going back to its spawn or default position, they might actually heal back up again.
Oh, and Randresh is down to his last health. And he only has bandages to try to heal himself up. Oh no! Oh no, that's a knock. Leaving only Hafiz alone, this is bad.
Well, hopefully Hafiz can deal with this by himself. I have to say, are pretty tough and very difficult to deal with boss by your own. But if he can actually finish this off with his barely enough bullets right now, I don't know how will this fare for MCR, and hopefully there will be no third party coming in as well. But unfortunately, I mean, Hafiz need to revive, but there's no space at all. Look at how aggressive this boss tried to take them down. I mean, like MCR, definitely traumatized by big bosses now. Last time we remember they cannot extract themselves out, and that's almost very close circumstances, almost the same scenario. But Hafiz, how to save his mate?
Oh, no way unless he defeats the boss first. Oh man, now he's just navigating around, going up and down. But he has to remember that he has only about 5 more minutes to go. Oh, lucky enough for him, he does have this first aid to heal up. And this could be the opening. It's daytime though, so at least it gives them a bit more space. But that does not mean that the boss is still not around.
Yeah, the zombies are going to be around. At least it's not nighttime, so for them, they can actually just try to wait a lesser aggressive version of the boss, or maybe the boss go back to its default spawning position here because of the daytime. Now, speaking of time, that's also a good point to take out for the teams right now. This spot, we have 15 teams. You guys have to minus 10 minutes off the clock as well, because that's the real time we're talking about. They only have 20 minutes to exit, to loot and exit, and now we're down to only 5 minutes. And speaking of 5 minutes, will be enough time for FaZe Clan and FL since they're having a brawl as well.
Yeah, and Lan wants to land that elimination point, spraying into the smoke, but not able to get the elimination point secured yet. But on the other exit, Prem will be waiting for the members of FaZe Clan. Now FaZe Clan is pretty much stuck with Fellas ID.
And speaking of time, this is going to be difficult. They haven't found themselves extraction point. Now, that's also the question here. To find extraction is one thing. Being gatekeep is another problem. So, it's either FaZe Clan or Fellas, I mean, who's gatekeeping each other out. They have to force the fight anyways. Unfortunately, I don't know how much the loot from Land just now. Hopefully, it's not going to be enough. But for FaZe Clan, there's definitely an opportunity that cannot be missed with 4 minutes to go.
Yeah, 4 minutes, 2 players left. And if they get eliminated by Fellas ID, this will significantly push Fellas ID up the net worth charts. FaZe Clan, they're still stuck inside. 4 minutes to go. And they can hardly find an exit point. Okay, here we go. Let's see if they can get away in time as Bram tries to chase it out. Oh, this is bad. Bram needs to land the shot, but no knock yet. Second time reload, second time try. Almost getting it, and finally Bram gets a knock.
Needs to wrap things up quickly. Down to only Sakura from the side of Sam9. FaZe Clan. It's down to 2 players there. At least Sakura managed to just re-heal himself. So on the side of Pram, we're talking about time here. Both teams might not exit out on time if this keeps going. And they might actually drag the fight up to the exit point if both teams aiming for the same one.
Well, looks like they are still going in for it, but they have to keep in mind the timer as well. Like what you said, 3 minutes left on the clock for Fellas ID to exit themselves too. Yes, they had 1 player already out. That's going to be Arya. But the rule is if all the players don't exit, don't extract themselves, then the points will not be counted. So whatever Arya carried with him, it will not count as well. So they still need to play within the timer for every single player.
At least for Sem 9, that's good news for them. I don't see anybody in Sem 9 seems to be having problem. You know what? When it comes to Zombie Uprising, it's best to just sort out like, okay, as long as we got over 1 million or almost 2 million worth of loot value, it's going to be enough. You cannot be over greedy in this one as well because of how easily the map can bump into the other teams. So Sem 9 secured the extraction point. They're all going to extract out at the same time. Yeah, not taking too much of a risk, not taking any more time. So it's going to be safe. Exit, eject out of the map for Sem 9. The only team that managed to got out. FLS, they had one player. I assume that's going to be the highest value player that exit out way early than the rest.
Yeah, Arya is out. But the value will not mean anything if all of them don't exit together. So Dre is still taking his time. Last minute shopping here. And less than 2 minutes left. So now we'll be observing the timer and whether these two teams are able to get out in time or not. As for Dre, he's quite split out with his teammate though. But he seems to be still focusing on the last minute loot here. So I wonder, will he have enough time?
Over just barely a minute. I think he probably scouted some exit route or exit point. That's why he's a bit chilled when it comes to finding the extraction point later. But we've seen things happen before. In the case of FLS, I think they learned from their lesson as well. Because last time, I think Arya actually scored 8 million worth of loot value when it's actually last minute been taken down by a different team. So they try to exit out as fast as possible, not taking too much of a risk. Saying good for MTR. I mean, like, not the most of loot, but at least they gained something by the end of this run.
Yeah, rather than a 0, right? So that's MCR locking in their points. MetroCeria says thank you for the round. And Fellas ID, yep, they do have this extraction point here. So this will be the final 2 members of Fellas ID. Now it's down to FaZe Clan. The 2 members that we saw earlier on, they're stuck in the tunnel with Fellas ID. Now heading towards the closest extraction point. But they have about 30 more seconds to go.
Oh, I would be worried about the players still not exit out yet. They're still trying to find 20 seconds to go, man. This is no time. I don't think Sui can find himself a extraction point at this time around. They need extra 3 more seconds to exit out, and there's zombies laying around. If the zombie keep disrupting them at the extraction point, now that's going to be an issue. But FaZe Clan.
That's it.
Oh, 3 seconds. That's just going to be it. Despite almost getting the 5 million worth of value. Nothing. They ended up with nothing, and that 5 eliminations. Oh!
Yeah, and Sui Boy himself carrying 4.2 million. Oh, man, this is going to go all to 0 now.
Oh no.
Man, now it's just a matter of fulfilling the extraction, but there will be 0 points at this round for them, except for if they got any eliminations. So they got 4 eliminations, so that will be the only value that they will carry on from this round.
It's 5 eliminations. It's 5 times 3, so 1.5 mils. They're not going to be empty-handed, but when they found those extraction points, you can see across the map, you can see some green smoke. That's going to be the extraction point. But unfortunately for FaZe Clan, that close to 5 million value of loot will be not be counted when it comes to this run. So I assume FLR is going to have the most out of this run for Zombie Uprising.
Oh, we just got an update. Actually, if they don't extract in time within 20 minutes, the elimination points don't count as well. So,
yep. That's why I said it's going to be 0.
Absolute 0 for FaZe Clan. So, yep, it doesn't matter anymore for them. Just fulfilling their obligations.
FaZe Clan. This is why it's... I think they have to put priority whatever happens, exit out. It's going to be the biggest thing that they have to put in mind, especially for the highest loot player. So unfortunately for the side of FaZe Clan, despite there's going to be like almost 8 million, I think, when it comes to the overall, including those eliminations, that's going to be go down to a 0. And that's brutal. That's why I said this is not for everybody.
Yeah, they have to blame Fellas ID for the tunnel fight that stalled them. So it's all Fellas ID fault, and Fellas ID, they got away. So this is one of those strategies that's being shaped, right? Like, you don't necessarily need to eliminate your opponent. You hold them down long enough time, and you yourself have an exit plan, and you can come up the highest. And Fellas ID came up as the highest value team here with more than 3 million points.
I mean, like, they definitely played right with Prime just now. Bought so much time for the team to, despite they actually been gate capped by FaZe Clan first. So I don't really think that FLS actually all to be blamed. But at the same time, I mean, FLS came out of the tunnel later than FaZe Clan. So, but they managed to secure those extraction points first. Now, it's all about, map stance and awareness at that point.
Yeah, you gotta have like an idea of like knowing where the extraction points are. And some of the extraction points, they are repeated spots. So at least you kind of like know, like, okay, if we were to like play that gatekeeping role inside the tunnel, and when you exit, like, you know that with that timer you'll be able to make it in time to the extraction point. Of course, it also depends on whether there are zombies that spawn or any other team waiting at extraction point. That will be the other variables, but at least you have an idea of like, okay, this timing, this is the maximum time that we can spend in the tunnel, and then we have to go. So Fellas ID, they had it down to the wire there to make the most out of this round.
Yeah, but luckily they actually found an extraction point before FaZe. But unfortunately for FaZe, it was almost worth 8 millions of total that's gone down to waste due to their timer awareness not actually on point. That's super important. Now, the first and foremost, we do see some multiple ways to actually play this game, right, for this mode. You just wait it out at extraction point, be one of the things if you're lazy enough to go for the looting. Second, it's going to be focusing on like how FLS play. They just put Aria on top of all those high valuable loot. Exit out as soon as you can, because it's too much of risk for Aria to lurk around with those high value loots and try to help with the team. And then the rest of the team will try to figure out how to extract out. Maybe, with Aria extracting out way early on, give so much information for the teams regarding where the next extraction point would be as well.
Yeah, so they will get that information of like, okay, that's the extraction point there. Aria has secured it, so that's going to be one. And some may argue that, hey, you might as well keep Aria together with you in the game and to try and fight or do whatever, right? At least you have extra firepower. But like what you said, if Aria gets eliminated, and those points will all be gone, or they will be on the ground scattered, and it might be taken away by another team, or your team might try to get it, but then again, there's always that risk of losing it entirely as well. So that's why some of the teams, they deploy that one player, in the case, this is Aria, to extract early to lock in the points. And then as long as the other team members, they extract themselves within the 20-minute mark, they will at least still get something about it on this round. So sometimes you have to consider not to be overly greedy with their choices.
I agree. I mean, there's so many tactical approach to this game. Like, you can go for 3-1 formation where the 3 just focusing on the firepower and try to find those early big bosses like the Variant P or Variant F in this case, and have the fourth player, which is going to be the looter, will go and find those high valuable loots while the team's dealing with the boss, right? And then let all the loots from the boss later towards the side of the looter as well. And then there's also the case of playing it to 2 looters and 2 fire fraggers. But when it comes to FLS, we have to give them the respect of how consistent they are when it comes to getting those points up.
Yeah, so they got 5 player eliminations together with the loot they're able to extract. So that bought them 4.5 mil. Still consistent from last week as they were last week's champions and they secured a maximum of 20 points from week number 1. Other than that, 7-9 came in at second with 2 eliminations and they brought themselves 2.3 mil in the back here cashed in. And we have MCR, which is MetroCeria, came in at third. But our MVP this round has to be Arya, the first player to be extracted.
Yeah, I mean, Royale had in that position before in the second map where he actually holds 8 million over worth and he being shot down. And that was the most heartbreaking time ever on the side of FLS, because I saw that and I was cried thinking how painful for Arya to actually give away his body to as a team that suddenly appeared out of nowhere and take them down. For FLS, Arya is going to be the most high valuable player. They need to keep him safe. It's going to be sort of a prince, but we're going to have a bit of a highlight to just recap what really happened in Zombie Uprising when it comes to A versus B group. And speaking of which, 7-9 actually changed their approach in week number 2. They don't go for mine warehouse, that radiation zone anymore. They usually go there first.
Yeah, maybe because they start off with 3 players. So when it comes to manpower, they want to play it a little bit different. And hopefully we'll be able to see a full squad of 7-9 in the coming rounds. And we'll be observing whether they revert back to their strategy from last week or they'll stick to the same kind of play style. And the mine warehouse has also been a popular spot for FaZe Clan, as we saw earlier in the highlights. But this is it. Game number 1 is done in Zombie Uprising, and Fellas ID scores the highest points.
And we're gonna have the next map, Misty Port next. I haven't seen Misty Port so much in action yet. When it comes to the group stage, we had a different map last week, which was the Arctic base. So this is gonna be another fun map to watch on. And speaking of which, do tell us your favorite team so far and how the most tactical and most efficient meta do you feel like appropriate when it comes to this Metro Royale mode right now.
Yes, and also do tell us if you like this new promotion that's currently happening inside of PUBG Mobile, ladies and gentlemen. And this is the Airdrop Carnival Pirate Bash. And I really love this pun here. Have a great day. So you guys can log into the game right now and explore the Ocean Odyssey new theme area called the Pirates Booty Island. And you can collect airdrop tokens. And you can head on to the Airdrop Carnival inside the game event. Upgrade your airdrop crate to level 5 for a guaranteed set or emote of your choice. And make sure you log into the game between the certain time to claim the airdrop. So we also have this amazing X suit also in the game now.
The Galadria X suit with advanced upgradable MG3 available for you guys in the game. So join the event and unlock coupons and limited outfit award from 6 to 13 of August. Get it right now before you miss it. You missed it, you're gonna definitely regret it. So we have to put our ads voice here, Cloud, for this banner. I think we had that with Contra last week. So I do want to hear if we can actually have that graphic for the Airdrop Carnival. Try to do your best pirate voice for once.
Okay. I'll try it in the next one. Okay, I'll try it in the next one. We'll definitely see it again. So, yeah, Airdrop Carnival, pirate. Okay, I got to get like the Captain Jack Newsy in me just to know how it might sound like. Although I don't
Captain
think it sounds
Jack
like
Cloud.
a pirate. Yeah, I try to put on the pirate vibe.
Yeah, you get the you know, the inner pirate yourself to be the best version of it. There you go, take in the aura and but don't rob anybody, by the way. Now, speaking of which, we do have our next map rotation. So far, I think FaZe Clan that hit them quite hard, knowing that despite they have the most value of everything, including elimination, including this loot, but because there's no extraction point, down to 0. Saying goes, even if half of the team already extracted out and the rest didn't go out, it's still gonna go back to 0.
Yeah, so something for them to work on here. But because we are switching onto a different map here, we're going to play in Misty Port after this. So we'll be jumping into this game right now. And Misty Port, and it's also one of the smaller maps. It's not your regular Battle Royale map, in case you guys are new to Metro Royale, just like all of us. That's why we can see that teams are probably still finding the most efficient way to keep within the 20-minute time frame. And sometimes things to slip here and there.
Well, at least good news is that Misty Port is very close, like Zombie Uprising, but we're going to have different sets of bosses to come up here, which are going to be the Fire bosses, Fire Roy and Joy. Didn't sound too much of a joy for me, but yeah, good luck for the players that actually bump into the boss, because this boss will be slightly difficult to deal with. But when it comes to the radiation zone, so we're going to have to wait and see. Will Sam9 going to go straight into it this time or not?
Yeah, so for Sem9, now we have them on screen, and they are very, very close to ETS. And ETS is right below them. Lanzi, he spots them out. Okay, he has the information now. And Sem9 being a high firepower team, they will not shy away from the fight.
But the problem is they're only starting out as a trio here. It's always going to be Lanzi and Ken trying to actually finish off the player. Usually Lanzi going to be the second looter, but in this case, Loyu will be the prime looter for the team, since they have to work things out as a team member. But on top of Scavengers area, Sam9, we might actually have a third party coming into this as well, because I don't think there's only just going to be 2 teams. Make it 3 teams as well.
Yeah, so 3 teams in the same area. Man, this is going to be a brawl. This is going to be fun. Loyu looks like he will lead the charge, and he sees his opponent. Okay, that's the advantage of playing in a TPP mode. You can actually peek past the wall, and they will score their first elimination, and that's going to be first blood. But not only that, ETS looks like the entire squad have been eliminated.
But I don't know if Ken actually knows FaZe Clan already arrived inside of the tunnel area early than the rest. But I think he knows that. He definitely heard those footsteps early on. And if the zombie happen to be spawning here as well, for FaZe Clan, at least lucky enough, there's not many zombies when it comes to the tunnel area, right? So there's going to be safe exit out. But the problem is the entry in and out from the radiation zone is quite limited. So these guys can actually gatekeep for a bit. On the side of Sam9, they don't have to work too much on their loot, because all the players they eliminated just now pretty much offered themselves with colorful loots around.
Colorful loots, but they have to survive the fights among all these teams. And right now, as Sam9, they did pretty well with those early eliminations. But FLS, again, same strategy by them. Avoid those unnecessary fights. Focus on the loot. Only take fights when necessary. And whenever they take necessary fights, even they are still able to score elimination points. So they do have that balance that they have kind of found.
Even though they have the balance, but for Sam9, I don't know, it's a bit later for them to hit into the radiation zone, which is going to be the mines warehouse. It's not too late for them to make a U-turn and try to loot from the outside too, because FLS did that before. So it's definitely doable for them to push their numbers up with their loot value by just not getting into the radiation zone as well, maybe. But Team Mantap in trouble. He's a bit busy with those zombies. I don't know if he's aware about the presence of MCR players around him.
Yeah, so they don't have an idea yet. They're not looking towards that direction. Instead, Noel is alone here, and he's focusing on the loot, which is totally understandable, right? Like, you see loot on the ground, you're deciding on which kind of loot to get before other teams maybe come by. But that's not the top of his priority right now. His priority is to evaluate the loot and decide which one to take back before getting back to his teammates across the horizon that we can see on screen.
Correct me, sorry, I have to stand corrected for this map. It's not going to be the zombies. It's going to be harder than zombies, because this is going to be the map where you have to deal with shooters too. I mean, like, even though they are spawn shooters, seems like but they play like as well as like players. And the plus point that we have the shooters is going to be they can take the fight into long range. Compared to zombies, it's always going to be CQC fight, right? But when it comes to versus, even though practically it's a bot, but they can shoot pretty well themselves, especially the bosses. So the bosses toss a lot of mollies and toss a lot of hand grenades too, so good luck with that. So MCR, they have to be aware about the surroundings too, because it's not them just versus the enemy team. There's also the enemies in the game itself.
Yeah, the My Chemical Not Romance. Probably trying to find the exit tracks, but none of them actually went towards them. So we're going to move over to FaZe Clan now. They'll be playing the rest of the round without the Snowy Boy. Okay, here we go. They found an opening, and they took out a member of Team Mantap. And Team Mantap, in the previous round, they didn't do it particularly well. This round needs to be a comeback round for them. With 3 players more to go, they have to make the most out of it.
Hopefully, fate will not be that cruel towards their side and history won't repeat itself. That's going to be just one player being taken now. It's doable even though it's just one player left, as long as he got some loot by the end of the day. So that's going to be still some progress rather than none. But for FaZe Clan, Kim Tony. I don't think he has any healing items, and there's going to be a lot of lurking monsters. And he does have first aid, but I didn't get to heal him back stuff up first. Always heal first in this case. He should try to take covers. At least he can actually reset on his HP. But Sakura will try to save Kim Tony in the case of in need. But these monsters will not leave them. But we're talking about the radiation zone in here, so definitely there's going to be a lot of monsters laying around.
Yeah, this is where a lot of high-tier loot is here in this area, but Sakura took damage from one of the monsters. Oh, no. Okay, but lucky enough, he has his teammate together with him just to buy time for him. But the Team Mantap, similar strategy like before? Like they're just chilling? They're still staying put at like one area, not really doing much.
I think they're probably trying to avoid any team's eyes for now and wait it out until coast is clear, then they start to go looting. They're probably just going to go for a conservative route at this point, but times is a big factor here, and we have 13 minutes to go. Maybe they're waiting out another 3 more minutes to see if the coast is clear, then they start to pop their heads out and just go for the looting instead.
The last time it didn't work for them, so I guess they try again. Trust the process, they say, and let's see if they're able to come out of this with at least a decent amount of loot and also value with them. So far, they'll be playing with 3 players. So that would decrease their potential of bringing out the loot by 1 out of 4. But with FaZe Clan, they are still in the radiation zone, trying to maximize the loot around this area. So far, so good for them. I mean, Sakura already has like, 1.2 mil just by himself. He could be the back for the team and expect that when he's done, he could be the first one to be extracted.
Second problem to deal with, find extraction points. And hopefully they can actually exit out safely with only 2 players left for FaZe Clan. Because the last time we saw them with this duo, I mean, it was a different duo, which was Sui as the main looter for the team, but they didn't make it out. Compared to FLS, they had definitely taken the lead here again at 2.5 mil already. We don't see them a lot when it comes in action, but they definitely did so much work out there. Running around, finding those loot and bosses to take their numbers up. Yeah,
so still spending time in the radiation zone. But Team Mantap, okay, finally we see them back in action. And looks like they're starting their round with 11 more minutes more to go. So that's something that teams will need to take in consideration as well. Like, even though you can extract everyone within the 11 minutes, like how much loot can you bring or can you find within the timeline? And Piran took a bit of damage. Okay, that's by one of the soldiers there. And they do fire back as well. And the damage is pretty significant.
And they're not that far from 790. So these 2 teams, when they open fire, they're not just going to attract those armies around. And the commandos too. They're probably going to attract like how Loyu is watching here right now. So still when it comes to this week, Loyu change and swap their role possibly, because he's more into a fragging player than he actually going for a looter. And Lance is probably going to be looter for 7-9 for this week.
Yes. So far, he's not the one bringing in the frags. But of course, understandably, I mean, if you want to put someone as the fragger, you put people like Loyu and Kin, who has professional experience naturally. And Loyu having that instinct of getting eliminations. Looks like he will be the one to go for it. And the other members of Sam9 going to follow up. Loyu gets another one in the bag. Team Mantap in trouble now with only Mist left.
This is interesting, but wait for it. Down to that one particular player they're trying to spot out on. Mist swimming. That's why they are resorting to this area, but they're going to join in the swim as well. So Kin will provide the information needed for Loyu. He found himself a couple of boxes laying around too. So that's going to be the last of Team Mantap player Mist, unfortunately. Now, back towards why Loyu being swapped over for the Royale. I think it's because of the map rotation itself. Last week, he was playing as the main leader for the team. Maybe because of a bigger map in Arctic base. But we do have a Zombie Uprising, which is a smaller map. And also when it comes to Misty, pretty much very close to how Zombie Uprising map is. Since it's going to be two back-to-back very small circles. So I assume due to his background with the Battle Royale experience, that's why Loyu being deployed as the fragger when it comes to week number 2.
Now, that absolutely makes sense because of his experience and also his proven mechanical skills as well. And he's been bringing back in the eliminations for Sem9. But even though they are able to bring back those eliminations, they still need to catch up on the value held by Phallus ID for now. Although, okay, we are still at the group stage whereby the objective is just to be in the top 6 to be the grand finals, and that is where the all the teams will need to go all in for the championship points. So if Sem9 is still able to keep afloat with their strategy being in the top 6 by the end of next week, then it still works out for them.
Yeah, there's also actually a big upper hand for the teams that remains as a 3. I mean, like 3 teams remaining. They have more extraction points without any contention here, with lesser teams competing. So definitely going to be a high advantage, super big advantage for the teams that actually got those eliminations. In this case of Sem9, despite their looting, it's not as much FFLS, but by the end of the day, they're probably going to transfer back more value with those eliminations too. So that's going to be 1.8 mil, almost close enough 2 mil with their elimination. But problem is, we're back to square one if they don't get themselves those extraction points inside. So they need to secure extraction point at this time because we have 7 minutes on the clock. They have to find and secure it. Once they know where the extraction point, it's okay for them to find a couple of loot laying around the extraction points in the last minute too.
Aha, that is what we learned from FaZe Clan in the previous round. You can get as many loots as you want, but if you don't extract in time, that's it. It won't mean anything. And Sem9, I wonder if they are prepared to extract now. Seem to be pretty okay with their loot. 1.8 mil with 3 players. It's pretty decent. And they got 6 eliminations in the process. So that will add on the value later on. 1.8 mil in the bag. As of now, they will probably overtake FLS. But of course, FLS is still going around the map trying to find loot. And no signs of extraction yet.
Trying to find those green smoke seems to be the most difficult thing for them to do when it comes to exiting out of the map. Right now, still trying to find one, and I think we're going to hit night time anytime now. We're around dusk already, so here comes nighttime. A horde of zombies. We're a horde of, in this case, it's going to be a horde of armies, probably going to pop later on. And it's going to be more aggressive than before, so they need to find those extraction points because there's also a slight chance of them colliding with another team during the very last minute too.
Yeah, this is where it gets exciting, right? If you meet another team at the extraction point, then it's going to be all-out warfare. So we've seen that before, like, okay, teams trying to extract, they got a good amount of loot just for other teams to come by and to take them out. But, oh, Lanzi got knocked down. There's probably another team around the corner.
I think probably just hit by the boss. I think there's a boss around the extraction point. And now with 2 players left, if that's the case for Sem9, they need to deal with the boss here. So they have to see what's up there to see what kind of boss. Is it one of the fire boss? Is it going to be those Roy and Joy fire? So for Sem9, they have no clue what caused the elimination of their teammate. I don't know how much value he had just now for Lanzi. Definitely one of the highest value of the players. because at first he got himself almost close to 1 mil. I think it's definitely going to be over 1 million since the value of 79 currently dropped all the way.
Yeah, below 1 million now. So they found another extraction point, and I guess they'll be happy to cash in right now. They're just checking out their sides, popping up that smoke, and yes, they'll be prepared to extract. So they will cash in 6 eliminations together with 980-ish thousand points. MCR, they're starting to extract as well. They sent 1 player back out, and for the other players, they have about 4 minutes each, less than 5 minutes to go to extract. And looking at the level of conflict that we have with these teams at this moment, it does feel like every team should be able to extract in time.
Hopefully, because right now in the radiation zone, I don't see any extraction point nearby yet for FLS, especially for Aria. We do know he's one of the most high-value players out there with 1.6 mil by himself. So, I just hope the rest of the teammate find himself the extraction point for Aria to give him instructions later on so he won't get lost.
Yeah, 1.6 mil onto him. If he gets somehow eliminated or doesn't make it, eliminated that is now, make it 2 mil. That's almost half the value of FLS for now. And that's very, very high value. No eliminations for FLS, so they'll be cashing it entirely on the loot that they have found. But Bram, oh no, now he's surrounded. Okay, he has about less than 4 minutes to figure out how to navigate this and extract himself.
Now, the highest player value is going to be Pram and Aria. I just hope they don't bump into any bosses here. But for Pram, he needs to leave. He cannot afford to find his boss by himself. And there's so many zombies around. There's so many mutants around. Oh, Pram, he couldn't afford to die. Almost 2 millions on him as well. He needs to get out. Yeah, it's very tempting to fight the boss right now with 3 minutes on the clock. They need to find an extraction point ASAP.
And Bram is still trying to go for the loot. Okay. Taking a bit of a risk here. The boss is still around the corner though, so he has to be extra careful there. Okay, you see shots being fired around, and the boss is still active. Looking for Prem. Oh man, this is going to be stealth mode right now, but his other teammates are here. I hope they don't decide to go for the boss because there might not be enough time.
Yep, it's a Variant P as well. You don't want to fight against Variant P at this very last minute. They need to find an extraction point. I don't know if they actually scored any by now. Did they actually know that if there's any nearby extraction point? Sometime if they get lucky, there'll be one extraction point on top of this radiation zone. So maybe they scouted one. So that's why they're taking a bit more time to loot out. And they're already probably guarding over that one extraction point. But if they don't, it's best for them to get out now.
Yeah, totally agree. There normally is one at the rooftop. The boss is still around though. I mean, yeah, you definitely don't want to put any focus on the boss as of now with about 2 more minutes left. If not, 2 minutes is probably not going to be enough. But for MCR, okay, we move over to them and they shouldn't have a problem to extract themselves. I mean, the extraction point is within sight. So they can afford to do some last minute shopping. They're not in the radiation zone, so the risk is kind of low here. And last we saw, even for FLS, they are in the radiation zone. So they will not be in this area trying to stop MCR. So expect MCR to be able to cash in the almost 1.5 mil that they have.
You also have to put into equation that first, yes, finding extraction zone, it's going to be not difficult for MCR, but is it clear enough for them to exit out? If there's suddenly some bosses spawning around and stop them from getting out, there's also going to be issue. So in the case of that, Randray should be put up into a very important responsibility here to make sure that they're going to have a clear exit out to MCR. Definitely not going to be a problem, but for FLS, 11 million with 1 minute on the clock. I just hope they can get out.
Yeah, it will mean nothing for them. MCR will cash in. They have sent one player up, and Havis is going to be the next one, followed by Oka. So they will be cashing in about 1.5 mil. Now, FLS will be the highlight right now. 55 more seconds to go for FLS. One more player left to extract himself. He does have the extraction point in front of him. Hopefully, there are no more surprises. And looks like he will go. And they cash it a lot. 11 million here cashed in by FLS.
going to be another high value run for FLS. I think it's going to be tough for the other teams to catch up now. And don't forget, every time you want to extract out, you have to add in that 5 seconds for the load of the extraction as well. Total value of close to 12 million. 11 right now. That's going to be the high value map. When it comes to Misty Port, it definitely offers more value than a Zombie Uprising. But question is, can they be alive? Because so far, Team Mantap, unfortunately, 2 times in a row, as well as the others that being eliminated early on, did not get any points for today yet.
Yeah, I think it's quite clear right now with the 2 rounds that we're seeing by Team Mantap playing absolutely passive. It doesn't work out for them. And when they play the passive, so happened that teams came to them. It was, in the case of the previous round, it was 7-9, and they got eliminated entirely. They probably have the idea of like, okay, if there are no other teams that come by, then they probably be able to get something out of it. But because they stay put, they weren't really active, so they didn't have like, okay, like the defensive strategy as well. Like, okay, maybe opening out space, or maybe just checking your corners, checking around the area, the high ground, or any other entry point. And because of that, they were punished for it. So Team Mantap, going back to the drawing board, perhaps that one thing that they need to work on is to be active within the map.
Yeah, I agree. The thing is, for ETS, they were trying to be active, but unfortunately, when it comes to taking the fights, they're always being swarmed by a lot of mobs and also players at the same time. So inside of ETS, I don't know, it's just unfortunate or really a bad day for them. Or they have to work things out regarding their rotations. I mean, radiations are probably going to be a lot of contenders, but there are also different places and, you know, compounds they can loot from, or just try to play on the outside and just trying to efficiently maximize with what they can work from the outside instead of forcing the fight anyway.
Yeah, so it's all about getting the points in the back at the end of the day. Whichever strategy that you choose, 7-9, we can see them active around the map. They don't mind getting those eliminations. While for FaZe ID in this round, absolutely avoid all fights. They got no eliminations at all, but they're still able to cash in 11 million points. So it's really down to the team strategy. But for Team Mantap, they really need to work out what is comfortable for them. It's quite apparent that the first step is probably to be active around the map. If not, then if they continue on to gain like this 0-0-0 points, I worry they might not even make it into the grand finals.
Yeah, I mean, like for Team Mantap, even their week 1 wasn't so great. When it comes to week 2, it feels like still going back to its the wall that they've been hitting their heads with. I just hope when it comes to the next rotation, which can be at least for Group C. So far, Prime Team and like MetroMini also going to be the teams that love to play it safe. But they are in the same group as FaZe ID for Team Mantap and ETS. So FaZe ID, when they need it, they will try to engage in the fights as well. So at least for Group C, they are less aggressive compared to 79 and FaZe Clan. But we do have AKG or Arkong, so they want those fights as well.
Yeah, let's see if the fights brought in the points that they would have wanted. And this is the match ranking. Only 3 teams able to cash in. And for FaZe ID, no elimination, no problem. Cashed in 11 million total points. As for 7-9, they scored 6 eliminations. So despite them only getting about 1.3 million loot, but because of the 6 eliminations, it boosted them up to 3.1 million cashed in this round. As for MCR, the other team that managed to cash in, they will bring back 1.7 mil this round with that 1 elimination. And FaZe Clan, nothing else, only 1 elimination, and it's 300,000 only for FaZe Clan.
Well, at least they scored something this time. Now, even though they can extract out, at least, you know, that's good news and bad news. Like in the case of FaZe Clan just now, because of how high value they have in so much eliminations before, but because they were alive, so there's no translation into points because they didn't exit out. But this time, at least they're being wiped out, so it's not all bad for them because they still scored those eliminations by the end of the day. But again, Arya is going to be the chosen one once more by our Metro Royale mode here twice in a row. I think when he come across the entirety of the tournament, he's probably going to be at the #1 spot right now.
Yeah, no eliminations for 2 rounds for Arya, but it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, it's all about the points collected. And this time, it's a lot more from the previous round. 4.5 mil is collected by Arya, and no early exit strategy for Fellas ID this time. Everyone stayed to the end, and everyone extracted amount at the same time. But let's check out some of the recaps here from the previous round. So if you look at FLS, they played very, very long in Garnet Mason, and that is where the radiation zone will be their next checkpoint. And from there, they just unchallenged the entire map based on their position.
Because FLS, FaZe Clan, I assume they got knocked down, finished off by the bosses. Maybe that's going to be the case how they're being eliminated down there. Or was it a different team just now? But FaZe Clan, they were fighting in there by themselves. So I assume that's going to be some brawls between the bosses and some brawls due to early engagement against the other team that caught them in the process of their healing too. But the gap of FLS and Zam9, that's going to be millions in between.
Oh yeah, that's like what, 10 million difference between the two of them? Man, so Fellas ID, they're still showing the level of consistency from last week. Zam9 cashed in a total of 5 million for now, so they still need to work on how to catch up onto Fellas ID. And for the first 2 rounds that they have played, they are the top cashed in team in this round. But next we're going to head on to Group A versus Group C, and Fellas ID is still playing because they're in Group A.
Yeah, but when it comes to the same group, this is going to be Fellas ID try to maximize whatever they can work with in day #1, week #2 here, because we only have 2 weekends, 2 days of weekends. So they try to push whatever their numbers can get. Last week were great for them, and they're going to go it again when it comes to this week, unless a team try to take them down early on. So gonna have to wait and see if there's any new contenders coming up from Group C to take down and stop Fellas ID. But we're gonna hit the break for a bit, so don't go anywhere. See you guys in a second.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the PUBG Mobile Super League Southeast Asia Metro Royale Edition. And we're just done with the first two maps. We still have many more maps to go, but we're going to rotate the groups this time, and we're going to introduce Group C in the lineup.
Yeah, but it's going to be Prime Team, MetroMini, and Arkong. Now, Arkong used to be one of the teams that pretty much played how FaZe does when it comes to their map first of the day. But before we getting into the game itself, it's gonna be a pirate day for you guys. PUBG Mobile Airdrop Carnival is officially open. It's gonna be the Pirate Bash. Hey mate, and have a great day. So don't forget to collect your airdrops tokens and head to the Airdrop Carnival in-game event and upgrade your airdrop crate to level 5 for a guaranteed set or emote of your choice. But what's more important, you guys have to log in and get into the game from August 16 to 18 to open your airdrop crate. So have a great day. Hey mate, there you go.
Well, I thought you would have maintained character even in the middle there, but okay, here we go. The Galadria X2 Advanced Upgradable MG3 is now available. Does it sound right? No, man. How do you voice this one? Okay, just join the event and unlock coupons and limited outfits awards within the limited amount of time. But how do you voice this one? Like, how's it supposed to sound?
You have to make it elegant, you know?
Oh.
Like Galadria X-Suit is available. You know, something like that. Possibly. You can think of something.
Okay. I wasn't prepared for. I was kind of prepared for the pirate one. Yeah, but this one I had to like, what do I do with this? It became on the fly for me. Okay, I'll figure out something, right? Elegant. Okay, you need to put on the James Bond-ish feel for it.
James Bond?
The James Bond. How would James Bond sound like? My name is
A very
Bond.
deep voice.
James Bond.
Give us your deepest voice.
My name is Bond. James Bond. And I shoot to kill.
No, it sounds
Chicken
something so
stir.
often. But we will figure it out for you guys because we still have that apps later on, so watch out for that later. But speaking of which, it's back to Zombie Uprising. He's a bit kinder for Team Mantap and ETS.
Oh man, that is something that Team Mantap, at first, they need to work on themselves, if you ask me, because they were super duper passive. They were hardly moving. For the 2 rounds that we're seeing, they were either like swimming in the water, grouped up together, or they were in the houses, not really doing much. At least, like if you're in the house, you're maybe deciding on what loot, then that's cool, right? But there wasn't even any loot on the floor for them to decide on. So I guess for Team Mantap, really, they need to work on their activeness in the first place.
Active is one thing. I mean, like, despite they were trying to be active, but it wasn't work out great for them when it comes to Zombie Uprising because they tried to take the fight. They know they cannot match up when it comes to the firepower so far because of how, I don't blame them. 79 do have a very star lineup players which have a very veteran Battle Royale player in their lineup too. But I'm looking forward for Group D because nongYing is also another team that really can match up to 79 firepower. But fellas, it is the team that I think I agree with you earlier today. They have balanced out for their defense, and when it comes to their maximizing their looting phase too.
Yeah, if they need to fight, they can take fight. If they don't need to fight, then they can absolutely focus on the loot. So they can do either style by now. And the best part is this, right? So Fellas ID, one of the teams that actually came from the open qualifiers in. So that also means that they have a lot more experience playing along the way from the open qualifiers to the qualifier finals, and now they are here. As compared to maybe, and I'm just theorizing this, right? Maybe like the direct invite teams, they did not have that many competitive games as compared to Fellas ID. So that's why Fellas ID, we can see them have a skill in terms of learning and how to play the game the best way possible for themselves.
Yeah, I think due to how they grind all the way, Ryan, definitely they have more experience and more familiarized with themselves when it comes to, like you mentioned earlier. There was a good key point that some spawn of the extraction point actually might be repeat itself. So it's super important for these guys because it's always going to be extraction point the biggest problem for these teams out there.
Yeah, so you gotta know, right? And sometimes that's through experience. And Fallon's ID, so far, they have not failed in terms of extracting. But we're going to come back onto Zombie Uprising again, just with a different group, introducing Group C to everyone else as we head on to our first match between Group A and Group C. So this will be really, really exciting to see. What have Group C learned from the Week 1 campaign?
Yeah. It's different group shuffles, by the way. It's not going to be the same group as last week, just for you guys that just joined us here. And also you guys that actually kept up with us for 2 weeks in a row now. But you know what? Another question kind of answered me. I mean, this is also the PMSL. We also have the PMSL South Asia League happening at the same time later today. We questioned before, when can we see Kenny and Loyu play? I think this is the reason why. They are 100% for the Metro Royale, so they're going to be focusing on this mode for this season.
Yeah, so we saw Loyu, but today we have not seen Kenny yet. But of course, we'll continue to observe because Sam9 will still be playing a couple more games later on, and we will see if Kenny will play this one, or maybe he'll make his debut in the PMSL later on. But we'll talk about the PMSL, of course, later, as now we'll put our focus onto FLS and ETS. So FLS, this is probably the first real challenge here today.
I'm glad that somebody tried to take them from their high horses and try to bring them down here, because so far ETS have been forcing a lot of fights. They picked Sam9 before, or even FaZe Clan in first few maps, but it didn't work out for them. So this time we get to see if they can stop Fella's ID from their great run and escapes here today. And things, I think this is the reverse here. Len and also Dree is going to be focusing on more towards the fragging. But in this case, maybe Prom and Ari usually going to go for the loot. But Ari, like we do know, he's going to focus on loot. So if ETS can take him down, there's going to be a high value. But what a nade by Lan. He landed those nades.
Beautifully done. And he will go in to secure that elimination point. But the other members of ETS, okay, ETS playing with 3 players, so that means they only have 2 players left. They're trying to get Lan, but it's not going to be that easy. And Lan is not in a hurry to secure that elimination, so he can take his time while observing what the other 2 members of ETS would do. Ben is the closest one, though. So if Lan decides to expand nades, then it wouldn't be a bad choice as well.
So I assume for this round, it's going to be Dree and Arya try to go for loot because Pram and also, yep, Lan will try to focus on taking a fight against ETS. So ETS, it's not just that they don't have more men like how FLS started that day, and they even forced this fight out too much and didn't score anything too much of high value today.
Yeah, so ETS, this is also a very important round for them. But gotta give it to FLS. I mean, look at the flank by Pram here. Because of his flank now, ETS, they're scattered around. They have to look at different directions. They can only focus onto one single direction. And Pram, he's looking for that knock at least onto Ben. He's looking for Ben's shoulder. So Ben's shoulder is not really showing. But they also have deployed one of their players to go in for CQC. And Lan will be the one to secure that point. 2 more to go officially now for ETS.
Oh, for FLS, it's going to be definitely a Thanksgiving day for them, given that ETS tried to force them for the fights here. And Koza is going to be next, might be visited by Tree. Tree is trying to find for the loot, because so far we do know Tree and R are just going to focus on the loot. And maybe they're just going to go for 1-3 formation here. The Tree were trying to find the teams while Ari are busy doing whatever he needs to do to make sure the numbers up. But it's also an extra loot for them. It's going to be taking the death boxes. So we are going into nighttime anytime now. And ATS, unfortunately, another 0 round this time.
Yeah, first team to be eliminated. And 3 eliminations goes to the hands of FLS. So great stuff by FLS, a nice flank as well by them earlier on. And that helped them to secure those points. And they can continue on to loot. So now they can focus on to this the area whereby they can loot, even though there are zombies around here, but they have a full team. So wouldn't be too worried for FLS for now.
Yeah, they're probably going to wait for the boss spawn when the nighttime actually arrive as well. And we're going to assume there's going to be some zombie hots coming over to the side of FLS. Even though it's not bosses, sometimes within those zombie hordes, it's not all bad. This is why you can see like entire village of zombies are just going to start running towards you. But some of them do have those high value loot as well. So if FLS, they don't want to go for the radiation zone. So I assume maybe one of the teams already got himself radiation zone, or none of them actually have a thought about the radiation zone, because MetroMinis are not the type of team that want to go for the radiation zone here off the bat.
Yeah, but what teams want to go off the bat is eliminations, and looks like MOM, they are in the area where FLS is at, and Fiki is here. He's East 1. Takes a while for him to pull the trigger, but he got that knock, so at least that's the main objective secured. So now 1v1, but he lost it against Dre, and that's going to be them losing one more player.
But for FLS, it's no problem. Oh, but there's also mutants around. And worst case scenario happened where it's almost nighttime and the zombies also happening to be there, and a lot of mutants too. And plus another enemy team that tried to challenge FLS this time. I feel like this map in particular, things get personal with FLS. Seems like all the teams are focusing on FLS to take them down instead of getting themselves back up.
Yeah, MetroMini still wants to go for it, even though they're playing as a duo. But MetroMini, oh man, they will lose one player. Winata is going to be the last man standing. Sends a nade across onto Prem, but Prem managed to evade that nade. He is still A-OK for now. Now Lan will want to punish Winata back together with his other teammates. They're going in for the rush. 1v3. He managed to get one nod. Dre will lead the charge.
This is unusual from Moms or MetroMini, and surprise, it's going to be the end of their run. I mean, 2 teams trying to take FLS down, but they are not an easy team to fight against, because when it comes to offense and defense, they pretty much balance it well, despite they have some zombies to dealt with just now, but still do it so superbly well done. Now, it's going to be nighttime. We're waiting for the hordes to appear, maybe some bosses that will be spawned around the corner. We're down to only 3 teams here. Despite we had a bit of difficulty for FLS, things got really personal. But Team Mantap seems like they're going back to their default strategy, I assume.
Again, the same strat of just being together in the water, not doing much. I mean, Team Mantap, I have a lot of questions here on the Team Mantap strategy, though. If they're able to pull off something towards the end, like, okay, coming up with millions of loot, well extracted, that's cool, right? But the 2 rounds that we have seen, Team Mantap has not gotten anything at all. So I don't know about Team Mantap's strategy.
I mean, they probably just wanna ditch nighttime and just wait it out, having a good swim until it's daytime again, where we're probably gonna have around only 5 minutes left around the clock, or 10 minutes. There's always gonna be that plan where they're just gonna start looting around 10 minutes left, probably. But for FLS, I mean, like, they have to deal with the bosses here, so I don't think it's a big issue since they have the manpower. But Dre, that was quite of I don't know, a push. Probably it feels like a WWE kind of boss here what we're having between FLS players.
Yeah, they definitely know what they're doing here, right? Because I mean, FLS, they have been in this sort of situation before. So now it's more about like getting this boss and maximizing the loot around this area. And they have like 11 more minutes to go, so that's fine. So that's going to be the boss out, and they will reap the rewards out of the boss. They are way ahead of the other 2 teams right now by 1.3 mil. Prime team, they are collecting loot elsewhere. Team Mantap still not moving at all. So the closest challenger to FLS this round is going to be Prime team.
Now, I do know you guys probably gonna have the same question as I do, but I don't think like we're gonna see any AKG teams here today. I don't know what happened. We're gonna have to wait and see. But back to us after the last 6 eliminations due to 2 teams throwing their bodies in front of them. I have to give it to the side of LAN just now, and also yeah, Dree did make a lot of work with Prime. I mean, this Dree just how they rotate. Exchanging their roles like when needed. Like example, if they've been charging quite a number of teams early on, they're gonna go switch over to 3-1 formation, or it's gonna be looted. But for Prime though, I think Keyboy just not got high value on himself.
Yeah, he was surrounded by 2 bosses. 2 bosses surrounded him. I mean, man, he probably cornered himself. I mean, we didn't get to see the build up to that, but he probably cornered himself to somewhere, and yeah, he was not able to get out at all. And now nongYing together with Bunker Poke, who are very famous influencers, by the way, they'll be by themselves this time, and the bosses are chasing them down. nongYing's not in a comfortable position at all, and even Bunker Poke is pretty low now.
Not gonna lie, that's some scary thing going on with 2 balls going straight in your face for nongYing just now. He managed to just jump down. There was, if he got charged in by that mutant and that boss just now, it's definitely not gonna be alive for him. So he's just gonna, you know what, I'm not gonna deal with the bosses here. They're just gonna try to loot, but hopefully the bosses won't be that persistent. But as far as we know, they will keep chasing these people down.
Yeah, and plus they're in the radiation zone. Even more reason for the boss to truly chase them down. nongYing seems to be able to get away for now. I don't see the boss passing through the door. Probably stuck there. So he's okay for now, that is. But they are still not really getting the loots in just yet. Hoping for Bunker Poke right now. 700,000-ish loot. nongYing, 300,000-ish, so he has to do a lot more work here in terms of the looting department.
I mean, unless they want to take their chances and try to fight the boss and maybe get high value loot out of this, but with 2 players left on Prime now, dealing with maybe 3 bosses, I see a couple of variant P here, where nongYing taking all the green vomit straight from the variant P just now. But they try to deal with the terrain. That's pretty smart of them. They try to force the boss to get stuck within the very small door. But they have to actually avoid and navigate themselves away from those poisons too. But for Prime, if they can finish at least 2 or 3 bosses, yeah, I think that's definitely going to push the numbers up.
Yeah, yummy. Green vomit. Something that I used to have for breakfast.
Wow.
Ow.
Very healthy.
It tastes better than it sounds. So, you might want to try it. But make sure it's green vomit, not anything else.
Yep. It's definitely, you don't need to eat your vegetables after you had that for breakfast, of course. That's why you're very healthy, I assume, Cloud.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I can weight lift just by eating
make
the
it
green
two
vomit.
green vomits, each of them, by the way, for breakfast. There you go.
Yeah, have you heard the mythical story of Badang? Like he became strong after eating the vomit.
Guys, don't do it in real life, okay?
Same thing, same theory.
But the Badang one is actually a white monster. I don't see where this kind of, maybe this one is double the power if you can actually taste it, I assume.
Yes, I can tell you that's true. So don't try it at home, kids. You know, it's not meant to. It's only meant for professionals. So just leave it to the pros like me to eat green vomit.
Okay, they got one.
Yeah, finally.
They got one, another one. They're actually playing it very smart. I like how they actually use the terrain and hitboxes that they know of. This is something that everybody can learn. Try to, not this way. So nongYing made the utes and they try to bait the boss to go towards a place that we can actually got stuck itself. But they need to make it quick because nighttime will be over and we have not cleared this extraction point. They have to deal with the boss here, or maybe even the mutant that got stuck within the rock. So there you go, it's a done deal. So now Team Mantap finally get an exit, but they need to clear the zombies though.
Oh, finally they're making their move. Okay, one more zombie to go, taking the time. Hailey exiting with 141. Okay. But they're not done yet though. I noticed another green vomit somewhere. Probably from the top. Another boss is around the corner.
It's probably just a normal mutant or normal zombie,
okay, yeah.
probably. If it's variant P or variant F, I think they're already jumping up and down by now. So we do know how persistent these bosses can get, right? But Haley, they couldn't figure out where those... I think something stuck in within the rock. Maybe. I think the rock itself is just a huge, big blob of zombie.
Yeah, it's a possessed rock now. The rock is possessed. And because of that, they cannot extract. Oh, man. I know the value is like only 540, but yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we'll let you calm down first, okay? All right. Yeah. The rock is possessed still.
And it even doubled. You know, the more Wizard is being possessed, the more vomit's coming out from this. And I'm like, look at the numbers of it. The damage is no joke, man.
Oh, man. Yeah, until you get knocked. You know what? At this point, just go to another extraction point. You got 4 minutes. You probably can go to somewhere else.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the best case scenario for them. It's not worth being knocked by two players knocked back to back for this extraction zone. I mean, this is even comical for Team Mantap. They had a really rough day here. And finally, the zombies out from the possessed rock. I think here's the main reason why they couldn't extract out just now.
The possessed rock.
Oh,
if
there
the
you
rock
go.
starts to
Another
float,
one.
oh, yeah, there you go. More to come. Okay. Maybe that's a zombie that's hiding in the rock. Okay, they try again. Okay. Hold your breath.
It's okay now.
Okay. Okay.
What a breaking zombie.
It's not okay yet. There's
Oh, there's still one more.
There's still one
more.
Oh, Team Mantap. How?
They should find another extraction point. I don't think they want to spend another 3 minutes yet. 2 minutes already gone by.
They got
gonna
away.
change it out.
Okay. Oh, banking on the timing.
Oh, that was hilarious, man. The possessed rock is something else entirely. But unfortunately for Prime, they got surprised here. That was their last member.
Oh, so they're not in a prime this round. FLS still in the prime. And 3 million, still getting more, still have some time, still can exit no other teams. I mean, this is going to be another bang of a round for FLS.
But honestly, after sorting Mantap just now, I love this game, man. But for FLS, 2 minutes on the clock. I don't know if they secure any extraction point. I think they're probably going to be one nearby. That's why they taking their own time here, because just like how they did in the last run. I think this is going to be just stretching the gap even further. They might finish the run at almost probably definitely more than 5 million because of that 7 eliminations too.
Oh, yeah. So they definitely going to get more than that, like what you said, once we total up the scores. But at least, you know, I want to look at the bright side for Team Mantap after their hilarious run with the possessed rock. They cash in their first few points.
That zombie rock, of all the things, I didn't know zombies can actually reside in a rock, in a big blob of rock too. Took them like, 3 minutes to get out just now because of that particular reason. But for FLS, they try to push their numbers with 1 minute over left. I think they try to hit around 6 mil. And right now, it feels like difficult for the other teams to catch up.
Yeah, way ahead now. They have the entire map to themselves. They have about a minute left, and the extraction point in this area normally is at the rooftop, so it should be okay for them. They can deal with it. They're fine. FLS surely will be the team that brings them the most points this round. So it looks like Group C coming in. Still not able to put a challenge to FLS. Instead, they gave away the points to them.
Oh, these runners are super fast and super scary though. Prime got hit and being scratched a bit. But for FLS, I hope the case won't be just like how Team Mantap was when they try to exit out. if that's the case, time's gonna be an issue. Yeah, despite it got almost 10 mil, but if they don't get out now, and even if like they manage to find an extraction point, if it's not clear, then it's gonna be a big issue.
Okay, I see it there. Okay, now it's to pray that the rocks are not possessed too. You possess rock, possess wall, possess whatever? No? Okay, no possessed. Okay, there you go. Extracted, and this round ends with clearly Fellas ID still playing this game very, very strong.
Yep, I think we're gonna have to wait and see will somebody else try to catch up or not, because don't forget it's gonna be 2 days for this weekend. Tomorrow might be a different story for them since we have a lot of contests. From start of FLS, maybe Aura is going to be the MVP again with a total value of 7 million. Don't forget about those 7 eliminations that they managed to secure. That's going to be another add-on 2 millions. So I don't know if they can actually reach up to even 10 million when it comes to the total value by end of this run. And definitely, I assume Aura are going to get the MVP again because probably he got himself the highest value of them all.
Yeah, and I believe Arya was the first one to be extracted, so that is the strategy. He's the backpack for the team, basically. So okay, you maximize everything, you go out. The trolley, yeah, someone's in a shopping mood. The trolley or what else? I don't know. The paper bag, the recyclable bag. You know, we gotta be environmental friendly as well. So Arya clearly is gonna be the one, and FLS they're just running away with the points now.
Yeah, but in a good way. He's the MVP. Also, he is the most valuable player. Everybody have to got him like he's the president of something at this point, because if he being knocked down, that's going to be a lot of headache for the team to just, try to revive is one thing and try to match up the loot that he actually can discover by himself and try to find his box is another problem. And but I have to say, Team Mantap, at least they had some points in this round, despite we have some hiccups for the extraction point.
Yeah, the possessed rock. Man, you don't get to see that all the time, okay? So you gotta clip that, okay? And it happens inside the game. So the possessed rock, kind of stopped them from moving out. But okay, if I were to like put aside the possessed rock situation, right? They exited. They still had time to like gather more loot, but they just chose to exit with about 500,000. So that's not gonna be much.
But I'm glad that actually chose to exit early, because if they happen to exit later and that happened within only few seconds on the clock, they definitely gonna end up with a 0 by end of the day.
Yeah, another 0 round for them. And they were almost heartbroken by the possessed rock, the exorcism rock version, like the rock exorcism. Okay, gotta give it the name there. Okay, the possessed rock seems pretty close.
I think we call it just a zombie rock, because it's a lot of zombies just now, and they actually have the skills of zombies. And despite they try to fish out the zombies that are residing in the rock, unfortunately there's more into it. I assume there's gonna be an entire village of zombies in there, maybe if we crack the rock open. But this is why one of the many reasons I love Metro Royale. There's so many unexpected scenarios and cases here that can change a lot for a single team. But when it comes to the numbers, though, there's going to be a lot of numbers down the club. Good luck.
Yeah, so here are the... not many numbers. Only 2 teams managed to cash in. FLS, 7 eliminations. So that's like 9.1 million. And then you got Team Mantap, who had to deal with the possessed rock. They cashed in 530,000-ish. And the possessed rock kind of reminds me of this music artist called Rob Zombie. So it's an electronic metal artist. And you can listen to it. I do like his music. It's very unique. But the whole point is that his name is Rob Zombie. So now he can change his name to Rock Zombie.
I didn't know you into technos, but... Okay,
it's not techno. It's
not techno.
It's more metal, but there's some electronic elements to it. But it's more metal. I would say like maybe 70-80% metal.
Oh, so we're gonna look up later on, maybe put it as our BGM one day. Who knows if we got the copyright, of course. But FLS is gonna be our fortune's chosen one again. The MVP for this run is gonna be again Aria, close to 3 mils this time. But when it comes to the next one, I assume we gonna getting the same player. I assume maybe the other teams that are focusing on FLS might want to take out Aria first, but they don't know who they're fighting against, right? So if they can take out Aria, that's gonna put a stop FLS pushing and momentum here.
Yeah, we need to have name tags for these players that is visible to them. Then you'll be like, that's the guy with the highest value, right? While we check out the match recap here, and pretty straightforward because teams got eliminated early, especially thanks to FLS. They have the entire map for themselves because Team Mantap is not really doing much. They played around Lost Village. They moved towards the Lime Seafood, and then at most their last point was on the south side of Power Plant, and that's it. As much they have moved, they only managed to cash in 530,000, and FLS, they had like half of the map to themselves. They scored obviously the most, and as of now, overall rankings, way ahead of anyone else.
Yep, there's going to be 20 million of gap between 7-9 and FLS. The 7-9 didn't play just now, so they're probably going to play later when it comes to the rotations of the map. But the one ETS that ended up with a 0, no progress at all. And despite FaZe Clan had such a great, strong start, unfortunately, they did not exit out on time. So for FaZe Clan later, they're probably going to try to have redemption. But ETS seems like you talked about being active. Active don't seem to be playing so well in the end for ETS.
Well, yeah. What can I say, right? I mean, if you don't score any points, even on page 2, how often do you see this, right? Page 2, everyone's 0. Well, to be fair to some of the teams that have not played, right? But at least on our screen, it's all 0. But it is all Fellas ID dominating today. They get one more top point collected, cashed out. They will be the undisputed team for today.
Not just today, last week as well. I mean, these guys know exactly what they're doing. They're going to be the biggest contest into this tournament as well. But you know what? I think you guys want to have something about the tournament too. This is going to be your tournament as well. So don't forget, when it comes to our captain, Say Cloud, have something to say.
R. Always have to start off with that. Okay, I'm breaking character now. But PUBG Mobile's Airdrop Carnival is officially open, matey. Call your friends to join a pirate bash, matey. Explore the Ocean Odyssey, new theme area, matey, called the Pirates Booty Island, matey. During the Airdrop Carnival, make sure you get the drop tokens and head to the Airdrop Carnival, matey. And don't forget to get into the game from certain amount of time to open your airdrop crate, matey, and have a great day, matey. Did I do it right?
I feel like this pirate lacks teeth.
Thank you for the standing ovation. Thank you. Thank you.
That was a nice clap for you, man. That's really a good job. But also for you guys, Galadriel X Suit, the advanced upgradable MG3, is now available. So join the event and unlock coupons unlimited outfit award from the 6th to 13th of August available in the game. So make sure to get your all-new axe suit. But at least I do have teeth though.
Wow.
But just now it feels like... And you know, it kind of remind me of... that was really nice. Exactly that face. You know, that face with barely can see eyes and then like, no teeth, but he's a pirate. You know he's a pirate. Been through a lot. Yeah, there you go.
Is that Maggie? Yeah, I literally did that when I was trying to do it, you know, just trying to get in the group, like.
Oh, we love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Booty Island, Mary.
Yeah, you definitely
sounds like a redneck at some point.
The pirate with the one eye patch, with your one eye closed with that.
Is that maybe? Yeah.
I hope Contra can match up. I hope Contra can match up to you for next time. I think Contra, if you're watching this, definitely you have a contest of the Pirates bash later on. But
The bar is set now, matey. Contrast in Indonesia, so you gotta set the bar there. Find your pirate groove and come back and challenge him, matey.
okay. I mean, like, that's gonna be a broken pirate for you, a broke pirate as well. Because if only we can translate those millions into real cash, now imagine how we can actually feel as a player. Oh my, 25 million.
But what would be the currency exchange? Okay, never mind about that. Okay, that. What if it's like, okay, oh, you got 50 million, we got 20 million, but the currency exchange is like, oh, it's only worth like $1. And
But it's still worth. I mean, like, it's
Okay,
definitely still worth exchange though. It's still money is money, man.
I'll take any amount in my bank account.
Yeah, I'm
if it's
seeing
free
those.
money, right? So, yeah.
$5 can $1 can actually buy a nasi lemak in Malaysia, so I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah. Almost. Now, nasi lemaks are expensive. At least the ones that I had.
Without the chicken.
Okay, without the chicken, then yeah. Making me hungry though. I mean, we're cutting across lunchtime, and you know,
Yeah.
I'm starting to think of like, oh, what should I have for my meal before we restart on the PMSL later on. So it's an all-day PUBG mobile action for you guys here.
Yep, I definitely got my meal ready, but I just cannot touch it right now because of how many pukes that we actually have to take in for our breakfast. The double puke, the double vomit of very nutritious variant P just now. That was something else entirely. Definitely, Cloud loved that for breakfast, by the way, guys. But
Oh yeah.
speaking of
If
the
only I
next
have a
bit.
Mr. Manager to manage my meals, right? Then maybe I can have a proper meal. But since I don't have a Mr. Manager, I have to share it with someone, and the someone gets 99% of it anyway. So I have to, you know, settle my own meals.
Hey, maybe you can get a Miss Manager, you know? That Miss Manager can do a lot more than just making sure that you have your meal on time.
Ooh, a lot more like.
I like to.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Miss
Or
Manager?
maybe a lot more like putting in the elegant voice on my behalf. I wouldn't mind that.
Well, you can be your own Miss Manager. We've seen you a different version of it. You have your wig, so why not go for it? But waiting for that. I hope we don't see a wig zombie in the next one, because we're heading into Misty Port, and we do know this is the map they can actually push their numbers and loot value.
Yeah. And based on the previous round, FLS is still very, very strong. And we're going to have them on screen here as our starting team. And we're also going to say hello to AKG for this round.
Yep, we finally get to see now. This is going to be fun, because before even starting off talking about anything else, these two teams seem to be too close against each other.
Hello?
And yes, I don't think Sphinx even load himself into the game. Just he's not prepared for this. He probably just drinking some water and realize I'm being eliminated already.
Yeah, it almost feels like he's answering nature's call there by the rock. It's a guy thing. It's a guy.
I think that's probably going to be the case.
Yeah, you know, because he's like facing that and he's looking down, he's probably doing his business.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like, he got shot. And it's like, dude, I was halfway, okay? You don't stop halfway.
Yeah, gentlemen don't do that. I mean, like, give the man the space, you know? He needs to do some nature's call. Oh, these guys are quite merciless when it comes to the points. And speaking of points, it feels like it's going to be FLS taking the lead again.
Off the back, right? FLS 3 eliminations and ETS absolutely annihilated this round. So 0 points for ETS, but off the back, it's already like, what, 900,000 for FLS, just like that.
Oh, and then the numbers keep going up for them as well. And Team Mantap, I think they just want to play around the shoreline, because we do know when it comes to Misty Port, there's more high value, despite the map is very similar to Zombie Uprising, but there's more value in terms of loot because of the mobs and the monsters, a bit more difficult to deal with. Now, Team Mantap, last time we saw them, the rock was the biggest issue. I don't know about this one, though. If there's going to be the trees start to go against them, that's definitely something they should reconsider next, because it feels like their strategy, even the game itself, is not agreeing to this.
Yeah, even the game is not kind to them, right? Like, lucky enough, if we would, I'm trying to find the bright side here, right? They did not do their nature's call that time. If they did, then, well, I mean, in front of a zombie possessed rock, we can all imagine what might happen.
I wouldn't mind that though.
We wouldn't mind seeing it, yeah.
I wouldn't mind.
With the
We
pants
even have
down.
the trees, like suddenly the coconut starts falling around the trees too, shooting towards the players to try to extract out. I mean, maybe, if PUBG Mobile is watching, right, when they are extracting out, it will be fun to have like, they have to hold against some hordes, like they have to make sure they have to extract 2 minutes before, and if they come in a minute too late, like when it's within just like 1 more minute to go and they extract out, they have to hold like 15 seconds or 20 seconds of crazy amount of superpowered zombies, something like that. You know, if they can defend it, then okay, they can actually get out, something like that.
Yeah. So having enough people, that would be really, really helpful, right? To try to fend off the zombies. So that's where if teams like they lose 2 players, is early on, it's not only about like, oh, you don't have enough backspace. It's also about like, do you have enough eyes? Do you have enough weapons to look at your surrounding to try to fend off those incoming zombies?
Yeah.
At least like, yeah, somebody could like, okay, I buy time. Okay, you guys maybe the highest value person extracts, and then the 3 of us, we do whatever. Just like how the strategy of Arya is with.
Or maybe, in the case of like, because we can see some teams do know how to play around this strategy right now based on the gameplay, but with AKG, we talked about AKG before, and I definitely see AKG can be a good contender for FLS because of their firepower. They're definitely scouting out all the players from BD, and he saw Lan. Lan is going to be the fragger. If he actually shoots down on Arya, that's a big one.
Okay, not Arya though. But it's going to be another player from FLS. At FLS, first casualty the entire day. And BD all alone. And looking at how this terrain is, it's quite easy for him to find cover against FLS.
You know what's fun? Example, right? If the player have the most highest value across his team, suddenly his name tag can be seen by the other teams too. Or like if there's certain amount of value, like more than 2 value, if the player is holding, he can actually have the tag be visible for all the other teams out there.
Ah, that's a great idea. To make it even more fun, that player is like blinging, like glowing or something like that. Like that's the target, something like that, right? But Bram, that NPC soldier gave away his position to AKG.
Now they have to deal with these soldiers around too, and these soldiers can take long-range fight as well. And trust me, they're pretty good at their aiming. I definitely got knocked down in the game itself due to these guys, especially the bosses. The bosses, nobody wants to fight the bosses in this map because it's crazy good and it's crazy strong. I mean, he got all the throwables as well. So not just the Fire Roy and Joy, it's going to be a lot of mollies and a lot of hand grenades too. But for FLS right now, this will put their rotation on hold because of how they're being surprised by AKG's presence, but at least Arya is still well and alive.
Yeah, I wonder how much loot Arya has collected. Really want to see that. But now we'll be looking at the Prem managing AKG. He got a knock. Okay, nicely done. But the other 2 members of AKG need to follow up. But he does have his teammate to back him up on the other hill. So that is going to be Lan. So because of Lan's position, they cannot simply rush onto him.
But for AKG, they're down to only 2 members. Prom is trying to finish off the job at the back. Quite a value here from the side of Pram. I think Arya probably have doubled from these guys right now with the earnings. But this definitely going to translate into 300 extra points for Pram. 300,000 extra points in their back here. I mean, so many teams trying to take out FLS, and they failed gloriously despite their multiple attempts. And so for FLS, you have to give them the respect when it comes to defense. These guys pretty great themselves.
Yeah, defense, offense, counter back. You took one out, more will spawn, the sort of Hydra theory. And they managed to get another 300,000 in the bag for them. So that's going to be 4 eliminations in total for FLS. And they seem to have this entire area to loot. Don't see the other members of AKG around the area. So they probably thought to themselves that, okay, we can't match the direct firepower of FLS. So we'll just leave this area for them.
Now, speaking of, we're back to looting phase for the teams, right? Now, it may be in the future. I mean, maybe in the future we're going to have that golden tag on the players that have the most amount of loot. And maybe in the future, who knows? Because this is pretty fresh and new in PUBG Mobile, the Metro Royale mode. Maybe like example, there's 2 case scenario here. First, it's going to be if one player being booted out from the map early on because of how high value, like in the case of Varia, definitely going to get out early because he got himself quite a value, right? So if all the other teammates did not exit within the same extraction point within the same minute, the extraction point across the entire map will get reset again. So they have to refine their spawning point. That's one. Or if they want to exit out, they have to withhold the zombie horde around 30 seconds. So if you want to let that one player to get out, you have to need your entire crew to be out as well.
That is an absolute great idea because it will make it more nervous or nervy for that team who is currently on the lead. So you kind of balance out okay, yeah, you have a very good start or you're at a very good stage, but all eyes will be on you. Just like what Vinata is doing right now. All eyes on the team Mantap as he got 1 knock on the Noel. The other members of team Mantap still in the game. Miss will be knocked as well by Vinata from afar.
Oh, it seems like MetroMini, they changed drastically. One of the safest team last week. They are one of the most peaceful guys ever in the entirety of the tournament. I think that kind of pushed them towards the point that, you know what, at their breaking point, we had enough people keep taking us as victims. This time we want to be the predators. We want to prey down on these teams instead. They're done with their safe plays and, being the nice people. And when nice people being bad, I mean, they are definitely going to be scary.
Yeah, well, Team Mantap is still being the nice people per se. And now they only have that 1 active player left. Looks like MOM, they are going on to him. Here we go. Cheese Love. I do love cheese though. Finding that final member that's still active. Fiki will come in as well. Position compromise. And that's going to be a straightforward elimination. 4 eliminations collected. And they did not lose anyone in the process.
With a cheesy ending too, to have a bit of revive. Now back to a sort of AKG. I mean, they're done with their loot. I mean, better than nothing for AKG because they ended up with nothing. They definitely learned hard lesson of last week. Multiple times they failed to exit out. So we have quite an easy exit on side of AKG. They won't be too greedy, but for FLS, they still can loot up. I'm looking for Prime. You don't see a lot of action from Prime, despite they only have 2 players so far.
Yeah, but they have the loot in hand, right? 1.4 mil with 2 players isn't too bad, I must say. So probably we'll get them on screen later on, now that we have only 3 teams left. MOM here with 1.2, and they also have a couple of eliminations. But for Prime, okay, you asked about them. They are currently inside the radiation zone, trying to maximize the loot. But they seem to be disturbed by another team. Oh yeah, FLS is here.
And they will try to take more points. It's going to be a Prime as per usual, going for the frags here. Now, he definitely knows there's going to be somebody inside of that warehouse despite it's a radiation zone. So it's kind of hard for him to visualize what's down there. But he caught himself some monsters, giving away his position the moment he opened fires too. And Arya right now worth almost 1 million. Over 1 million by now. So Arya have to keep as safe as possible. But speaking of teams, only MetroMini is left here. After we finish off with Prime players as well, we're back to only 2 teams to loot from. So they can take their own sweet time with 8 more minutes to go.
Yeah. They should have this entire area for themselves unless MOM chooses to come here. But at this state, I don't think MOM would want to come here too. So again, FLS, we can see a similar strategy by them. They will always prioritize this area. Then this will be their final area that they will loot, navigate around, deal with the bosses, and then they will extract by the right timing, maybe a minute before or so, because the extraction point will normally be on top of this roof. So it's a rinse and repeat process for FLS.
Nice MK14 there. And speaking of which, right, Cloud, maybe I hope in the future, like, okay, we talked about a zombie horde for their extraction point here. Or maybe to make it even scarier for the players, right? If they want to exit out, like the safest one is going to be the last minute. Or maybe just the last 30 seconds that they don't have anything to set an alarm off for them to exit out. For example, the safest way to get out is within 30 seconds before the map rotation is over. That's one thing. If they want to extract out early, maybe there's even an alarm sounded so loud that all the teams will be alarmed there as well, not just the zombies and not just spawns of bosses around. So they have to deal with teams and attract a lot of attention towards this. So if they extract themselves earlier than 30 seconds left on the clock.
That is a good idea. I like that one. It's like, you know, if like a helicopter comes to extract them, right? Obviously, the helicopter will be making a lot of noise. So they'll be like, nice. That area there's somebody there and they're being extracted. And they need to activate the extraction point because they need time for the helicopter to come, right? So that will allow some time for other teams to maybe go there and try to take them out.
I agree. I mean, like, that's super realistic too, right? For them to actually wait for the helicopter, probably going to take around 20 seconds or 30 seconds. So they have to just defend their extraction point to wait the helicopter to reach out on time. But that's going to be that 30 seconds window. So many things can happen.
Yeah, so that will also like alert like a horde of zombies or something like that, coming back to your example. So that would be pretty nice. I do like that idea.
It feels like a very Hollywood movie as well. Hollywood movie exactly like that, right?
Like your final defense. You have to like final defense before exit. That'll be fun.
Yeah, PUBG Mobile, if you're listening, that's going to be one of the best way to make it more nerve-wracking, not just as us caster. And it's already a difficult, brutal format and also a brutal game. But I mean, like, let's add some spice into it because we can see some of the teams find the easiest way in and out of the game, especially FLS, the way they play. They know exactly like every single strategy that they can approach with how they play. You know, every single round it's going to be double-digit millions for them every single time. So make it difficult for these teams.
Yeah, I thought about another idea, right? What if every extraction point there can only be one player that get extracted? So they're forced to split difficult. Out. Oh, that's like super hard, right? Like, okay, one person goes there, he goes out, someone else have to find another one somewhere else. That'll be quite insane.
And every single time that they extract out, like I mentioned, maybe that's also the case where they can have the reset of the extraction point. Every single time one player being extracted, within 10 seconds after the player is being extracted, it's going to be reset within that 10 seconds or something like that. But that's also going to be the case where a lot of teams will try to extract at the same time. But I do prefer the helicopter one, though. That's going to be more realistic and more challenging because we get to see, like, last defense, what you guys going to do.
Yeah, I think that'll be, like, super duper fun, right? So do that. If we do that, you guys know where, if it happens in the game, you guys know where this idea came from. We don't mind a bit of royalty. You know.
Oh, we definitely talk about zombies before and they actually put it into work. So I assume that PUBG Mobile definitely listening to us too.
Aha! What % of the entire Metro Royale revenue? Okay, I can retire then.
For me, I don't mind as long as we get to see the helicopter by the end of the day. That would be pretty cool if even the helicopter, not just with that, with also the red zone coming into this mode. Just because.
Like you summon the helicopter, you also alert the zombies, you alert other teams, and you alert the red zone. It's like, imagine like the red zone is controlled by maybe like the army, the commandos here. That's why they try to take you out with the red zone.
I know, right? But maybe there's going to be some trade-off here, right? For example,
Alright.
if they can take out those commandos in the very last minute, it's worth so much more.
Okay, fair enough.
So they have a
Yeah.
reason to fight as well for the teams.
And it gives at least the team like a chance of comeback.
Yeah,
Maybe the
yeah,
strategy
yeah.
is like, okay, from the start, we activate it because we need to come back on the points. So we choose to like fight hard mode early on.
Or, yeah, for the comeback mechanism, right? There's a certain particular, like how we got ourselves a radiation zone. If the extraction point is right on top of certain places other than the radiation zone, there's going to be a specialized extraction points. It's going to be a different color, possibly. You can come back, but it's high more value and harder bosses. There might a chance that you will be eliminated by those bosses. Plus, they're probably going to be gatekeepers for the other teams that waiting for any teams to take that bait too. So that's going to be fun.
Lots of ideas here. I like that one too. Like it upgrades the bosses in certain conditions, right? And of course, like what you said, I like the trade-off back because you cannot give like everything hard for the teams so you don't give them anything, you know. Okay, we still give you a reward for going through it, but yeah, you have to be able to go through it, right? And speaking about going through it, looks like we're going to wrap up this round with FLS extracting themselves. And it's quite clear again, the FLS is way, way ahead of anyone else.
It's a no surprise by now, and I assume they almost stretch up to 30, maybe even up to 40 million after this run as well. But I mean, this fella's idea, definitely it's gonna be Aria for the MVP. I assume it depends. Maybe it will be somebody else, because just not even Prem, even all the other players of FLS always got himself those high value loot because of how little teams left in the game just now.
Yeah, so lots of high value loot, unchallenged. I mean, what can we say about FLS, right? The only bump that they had is that they lost one player. It could have been more than 12 million if they didn't lose that one player. But I mean, if you're FLS at this point, you wouldn't be complaining about your current performance. It's like you're way, way ahead of anyone else, even in the overalls.
Now, this makes me kind of curious because so far all the teams' attempt to take down FLS seems to be a failure. We saw 3 teams. MetroMini, MetroMini was actually trying to go for somebody else early on. It was Mantap and ETS, and then we had AKG. And AKG so far is going to be the best team that fighting against Fellas ID because at least they have one player in the back for that, right? But I'm curious if it's going to be nongYing because nongYing is pretty good himself to fight against this team. So we've seen Sam9 before, but unfortunately Fellas ID and Sam9 did not have the same direction. So I guess it's going to be some time for us to see if they can actually be up to par when it comes to firepower.
Yeah, but we will be done with this group by this round. So for them to meet up each other, perhaps we need to wait a little bit more. But interesting theory, right? Like if what will happen if like Sam9, high firepower, a lot of experience in the competitive arena going up against FLS in a compound fight or maybe in the radiation zone fight where you have lesser vision between like a certain distance, right? So I would want to see that kind of fight. Although, like what you said, both teams have very different strategies. So far, their strategies haven't clashed with each other. But if Sam9 were to be interested to try to overtake FLS, knowing the capability of their mechanical skills, the firepower, their game sense, it would make sense for them to try to read out the pattern of FLS and try to eliminate them.
Yeah, but personally, and we're going to put that on hold because I have another point for you later on. But for FLS, it's definitely no brainer at all. AKG, they exit themselves. They booted themselves out of the map early on. There's only going to be 3 teams that are going to score themselves this time. ETS, unfortunately, will end up another 0. And I don't think they score anything entire day here. But for Team Mantap, at least they scored something in the last map. So it's not going to be all bad for them. Now, speaking of which, Cloud, don't forget nongYing is also a team that have G9, Martin, Asozib, Godard. That's also legendary names. Now, we talked about Sam9 with the firepower too. So can these two teams, if they happen to be meeting up later, either today or tomorrow, maybe that's going to be a stopper for FLS.
Okay, that's going to be a good point there. So we will definitely see them coming up later on. But for now, it looks like it's going to be Prem. That is the chosen one. And it's not Arya. So his play earning is 9.4 mil with 2 eliminations. So this is the first time that we see player eliminations for the chosen one today. Arya, clearly the backpack, no eliminations at all, different strategy. But this time it's different for FLS.
Prem pretty good when it comes to taking the fights and defend and finding the spots to just take some sneaky shot from afar. And I have to say he pretty much balanced out eliminations and play earning this time. But Ara is always going to be only one objective for him only. I think it's unwise for him to swap roles because so far Ara is pretty good when it comes to looter as himself. But let's just recap what really happened here. So we're going to assume Team Mantap are always going to play around the C area because they always going to just play around there somewhere. But this also give away their information so much. If they keep this going for the next few days or next few weeks, some teams will try to take them down, take them out early, especially if there's teams like Sam9 or teams like AKG or even teams like nongYing.
Yeah, and FLS always aims for the radiation zone, which is mine warehouse, and they will always end up there at some point. And once they kind of had an idea that, oh, everyone else is eliminated, might as well go across the map just to maximize our loot, and it brought them the highest overall rankings for now. 16 eliminations with 38 million cashed in. Their closest contenders now is still Sam9, despite them not playing in the previous round. So it kind of just gives us an idea that the Group C teams are probably the group that needs to improve the most.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a priority first, right? Some teams do prioritize over taking eliminations early, and that's gonna be the case of ETS. But next, gonna have a new group coming up, which we're gonna reintroduce HLV, Boom, Esports, and nongYing. Speaking of Boom, they are one of the best contender against FLS because they have exactly the same mindset here when it comes to looting and when it comes to getting the fight as well. But firepower wise, I have to give it over to nongYing because of how veteran these players can actually is so good. One of the legend players in PUBG Mobile when it was their prime days. But yeah, if only nongYing actually do prioritize looting, maybe they can catch up to FLS.
Yeah, and so FLS will need to wait and see what will happen in the following rounds. And it also includes tomorrow as well, ladies and gentlemen. So tomorrow, the round robin of the groups will continue on, and then we'll lock in week number 2 on who exactly is on top. Although the objective for the group stage is just to qualify into the grand finals, but with the amount, honestly, if you ask me, because FLS, they were champions of last week, they're still doing pretty well this week. It's hard to see them drop out. But what's going to drop out is going to be us, ladies and gentlemen. We will be taking a short break before we come back for another set of groups. So do not go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you guys after this break.
and we're back for more fun and zombies in the Metro Royale mode. You guys are tuning into the PUBG Mobile Super League Southeast Asia Metro Royale with me, Choo, and also always gonna be the fun guy to be with Sir Cloud.
Yeah, and it's also always fun to be with Choo, as she will tell us how to become a true pirate here. So, Captain Jack Choo, take it away.
Okay, I have to stay in character now.
Explore the Ocean Odyssey new team area, the Pirates Beauty Island, yay! And it's gonna be an airdrop Carnival Pirate Badge, buddies! And also, have a great day, arr!
That's actually pretty good. Okay, I'll try this right now. Oh man. Okay, I'll try to fight it. Okay. Gladiator X Suit Advanced Upgradable MG3 is now available. Join the event and unlock coupons and limited outfit awards from this limited amount of time, 6th of August until the 30th of September. Make sure you check out the all-new X Suit available now.
There you go. The ad voice coming out.
Oh my God,
buddy.
bro.
We can do ads now. I mean, like, you guys can hire us if you guys need to.
We try.
And that was well done. Woo, a clap for both of us, I assume. Yay, we made it for the ads. But speaking of which, Cloud, we do have a new team coming in. But before that, I have another idea while watching the trailers, right? We're going to put that on pause for a bit because we're back into Zombie Uprising, but this time with a different group, C and D. Prime Team, MetroMini, Arkong, HLV, Boom, Esports, and nongYing. This is what I've been waiting for. nongYing, will they go crazy with those eliminations here?
Ooh, to catch up, let's see that happen. Okay, let's jump into the game right now. They'll be playing in 2 rounds, so we'll be excited to see here. Okay, we got AKG first on screen, and when it comes to the spread, well, it's going to be regular spawns here for all these teams. Now, it's a matter of how they will choose their route to move around. MOMs, 3 players. Let's see how they'll be able to maximize the loot because there will be Prime and nongYing around them.
Yep, nongYing is there, and they're always gonna love the brawls. And speaking of the moms, I mean, when it comes to games, you can never forget about moms, Moms is always going to be the issue for the gamers sometimes. But nongYing, Assozit coming up from behind. Here comes the nade, just around the corner. And Fiki spot him out, firing towards that wall. And Fiki, we're talking about against Assozit, another veteran PUBG Mobile player.
Here we go. I mean, just look at the movement, right? So quick, so slick here. And for MOM to pump into them, it is bad news. I mean, 1 player already eliminated, 2 more to go. Make that 2 eliminated. Now we're only 1 player left, and that's going to be Cheese Love. They're going in for the chase. Cheese Love, run! Cheese, run!
It's definitely a food that everyone wants to have a bite right now since it's lunchtime as well. Cheers, love. So much love being shown by nongYing, and it's super cheesy. He couldn't take it possibly. Now trying to find a way for his life out. But I think nongYing picking up the crumbs right now, trailing to the side of MetroMini player, last player there is. Now, it might be take them some time, but I think G9 kind of get a general idea where this player is going to run, right?
Yeah, I'm sure he has that sense of like, okay, where else are you going to go, right? You're probably going to go to that area. But looks like it's not going to be their priority anymore. And they're going to focus on to getting across the map, continue on to loot. But they already got 2 elimination points in, so that's going to be 600,000. HLV, okay. Hasta la Vista, that's their longer name, right? So HLV, they do have Ate, and Ate is a player with professional experience as well. So he does have the game sense, the firepower, things that you would expect for a professional player. So HLV is here also thanks to Ate.
Yep, for the fragging part, I wouldn't worry for them, but it's always going to be the looting part that's going to be difficult for some teams to adapt to from Battle Royale to Metro Royale, right? And speaking of which, after we watch the trailer, we definitely see a helicopter. So I assume one day they're going to put it in, maybe, hopefully. And plus, don't forget, we have flare guns in the game, if I'm not mistaken, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I haven't seen the usage of that yet. But what I do see clearly right now is Cheese Love. He tries to fight back against G9. G9, 50% of health, but he managed to evade the rest of the shots. So Cheese Love, all he did was gave away his position. Now G9, way interested to try to take him out now.
Oh, yep. We're talking about G9 here. This guy, when they have opportunities to fight a human in the game, might as well take it. And G-Love down to only 10% of HP, even as it followed through the follow-up from the side of G9 information just now. I don't see any way out for Cheese Love right now. And that's going to be and that's going to be a done deal. That's it. That's gonna be like what? 3 times 3, 900,000 as a start for nongYing, and this is why they are one of the scary team. And I'm looking forward for them to fight against FLS.
Yeah. So FLS will be looking at this game, thinking to themselves that okay, well, they can only think, they can't do much about it, but hoping for somebody to be able to counter onto nongYing. So yeah. But we do have Prime here, and Prime is one of those teams that also needs to collect a lot more points to try to chase up to the competition. So far, so good for them with 1.4 mil.
Now, back to it where I'm going with the flash gun, right? Was it the flash, what we call it? The flare gun, sorry, the flare gun. This might actually get put up to use in this mode, because you want to call the helicopter, you have to have the flare gun. That's more, that makes a lot of sense, right? And you have to make sure the one that actually have the flare gun stays alive. If you don't have a flare gun, you can see the extraction point, but it will not be activated. And once the flare gun being fired off, that only will activate the circle of the extraction point, and they have to wait 30 seconds for the helicopter to reach into their compound or their space, and that's where the defense happening. Maybe that's gonna be put up to good use for all the mechanics of PUBG Mobile to play into this Metro Royale mode.
And if you somehow lose the flare gun, the only way is to either ride the helicopter that another team uses the flare gun with, or try to eliminate that person with the flare gun to get their flare gun.
That'd be fun, man.
Oh, but G9, he spot out Naeem from the other end. I mean, this team, what can we say about them, right? Lots of firepower, legendary players. They don't care about the loot. They just want to go and take fights.
Yep, this is nongYing, the very classical nongYing that I've seen since day one of the group stage, and they keep the same momentum and same strategy. But nongYing, because of their play here, they will have to waste a lot of their looting time to fight against the other team. So hopefully when they're done with this, with Prime Time do have some valuable loot, over 1.4 million right now. If they finish off the entire crew, they might actually score something out of this.
Wow, the fight is going to continue on now. And Prime, they have 2 active players. Okay, Bangkapoke is picking up Stone Cold, who's also another influencer. This is basically an influencer team here. And he managed to revive. Okay. The push is not happening yet, but pretty much pinned to the rooftop now.
The only way to get out is going to be jumping down, but it's also hitting to its night time. So if they keep this going, there might be spawn of bosses around here too. So they have to wrap things up quickly for both teams, because they get surprised by a third party, which is not going to be the players. It's going to be the bosses around the corner.
Yeah, that's going to be double trouble for them, right? So far, nongYing in control, and I do expect them to win this fight with the current situation, not because of their stature, that is. Stone Cold is cooking up this nade, hoping for somebody to come up the stairs, but nobody bought the bait. Martin will be knocked out and eliminated. G9 is down as well. This could be a comeback by Prime.
Yep, Prime, the one that actually we saw they playing it safe and being very gentle and nice before. Not so nice this time. Godot tried to revive on G9, but unfortunately that leaving only one player left for the firepower. And it's nighttime as well. They will alert the entire horde coming up soon, and they have to finish off quickly. And Prime just obliterate all 3 members of nongYing, leaving G9 at the brink of the end of the building itself or from the outside.
Yeah, now it's down to G9 to pull off a clutch. G9 all alone against the 4 players of Prime. But look at this, right? His position. There's no way for Prime to actually find unless they come from the outside. And this is the experience of a professional player that we're talking about. He knows all these sneaky corners to be at.
But I think he knows for nongYing, maybe because the backpack kind of stick itself from the inside. Now, there you go. He knows. You can see the backpack just now across the other side of a wall. And for Prime, that's a big win. Now, nongYing is always going to be 7-9 that fought against them before, but we can see a different side of Prime as well. Their firepower, and when it comes to close-range combat with their CQC, they are pretty strong themselves.
Yeah, doing very well as of now. And 4 eliminations in the pocket, together with a lot of loot. They're at number 1 now. 2.1 mil for Prime. Looking pretty nice. The next contender is going to be Boom, and we haven't seen Boom yet on screen. HLV as well, doing pretty okay with 1.7 mil. Now, AKG, at least they have a full team, so they have a lot of pockets for them to try to catch up to the value. And we have about 10 more minutes to go. So, AKG in the previous round that they played didn't really do particularly well, so this has to be somewhat of a comeback round for them.
Yep, and like I mentioned just now, it's not just about the radiation zone that can actually boost their numbers up. Based on Prime, I think definitely nongYing players high value loot taken over by them. That's why they can reach up to over 2 million. But Boom is going to be the team that are focusing on the radiation zone. Couple of bosses actually just spawned for Pyro. I don't think he can deal this by himself. There's 2 bosses of Variant P around the same spot as well. But they know how to fight against these bosses. They're just going to use the buildings to force the bosses to get stuck into one corner here.
Yeah, so has to deal with it. Just like how Prime is dealing with the boss here on the rooftop. I mean, they got like 3 players, 4 players, so they should be okay, and expect them to get like good amount of loot from this boss. 4 players onto the boss. It should be a quick one for them. Plenty of time still. And it is the boss that actually should be the one to run away, if you ask me.
Yeah, but it's a Variant F, a bit stronger than Variant P. I personally feel so. And he's way more faster as well. But when it comes to taking the time to take down on a Variant F, it requires quite a momentum of entire crew of a team. And if you get knocked down here, he can easily knock you down. Look at how big the rock he just carved from that building. But took them for around 30 seconds for Prime, but they made it out anyhow. I don't know how much with that worth of a value, but HLV, they want to exit out early. They know how scary these teams can get. So especially Boom, when it comes to firepower, this team's also one of the scariest teams. So I don't blame HLV trying to exit out right now.
Yeah, I mean, 1.6 mil onto one of the players. So that's the backpack. The other members of HLV looking to maximize this round. Ate, only about 108. So he still has a lot of room to go. But he's moving towards where Prime is at. As we can see, Prime on screen now. But Ate being a professional player, if he is forced to take a fight, that will be something that probably would excite him.
Yeah, definitely he's trying to go for the excitement here, going straight into the direction of Prime based on how they open fire just now, given away the position. The horde of zombies seems to be tailing HLV as well, so they need to deal with the zombie and the player at the same time, and they're down to only 3 players as one of them eject out already. And nongYing do have some high value on himself here.
Level 41, not too bad. And nongYing will be the one to knock out Ate. Okay, so that's a huge firepower blow to Hasta Vista Esports. As now they need to navigate around the zombies as well. It is nighttime.
I feel like, you know, they don't have enough men on the side of Ate and the rest of HLV, so they brought along all the entire horde of zombie to make it more difficult for Prime too. Because if you don't have enough men, that's actually pretty smart to utilize the zombie to be the bait for Prime as well.
Yeah, give you extra cover too. So far, they're navigating this smartly. Genie Boys, hope it knocked. And the next one from HLB will be eliminated. One player extracted though, but they have one more. Okay, one player extracted. That player is down. So HLB will only cash in one player.
Yep, and that one player worth $500,000 of value. And just now, the other three members actually cost around like what, another $500,000 or slightly over $500,000 just now. And the last player that being finished off costs around 300,000 of value as well. But for Prime, this keeps their numbers up. We might actually have an NFL last contender here.
Yeah, so Prime 4 million already, and they have 6 more minutes to go to maximize whatever time that they have in this round. Surrounded by zombies with still a full team, not going to be an issue for them. They can just navigate around, or they can try to fight back at some point if they want to get the loot. So they're okay for now. Bunker Poke is on the other end, probably scouting out for the next exit point. All they need to worry. Oh, this is so cute. Oh my god.
It looks like my cat who likes the tummy rub. I have one like that. But yeah, I mean, Prime, don't forget about their 7 eliminations. That's going to be 2.4 worth, 2.1 worth of value, 2.1 million there. For Prime, 2.5 million to catch up to Boomer is no problem with that 7 elimination. But so many zombies around. There's a Boomer as well. But due to the daytime, might be thinning out the rest of zombie. They need to deal with the zombies, yeah, if they want to exit out for AKG. If not, the zombie will disrupt the extraction. And here comes the bash. BJ, you have to shoot down the zombies.
That almost looks like the lesser Nobu. But, okay, BJ, he needs to deal with the zombies first before they're able to extract, but it should be okay, It's quite clear on how many zombies they need to eliminate, and it's daytime anyway, so it's fine for them.
5 more minutes on the clock. And speaking of the cat, I do have one cat like that. The wife of Nobu, or aka the daughter as well. That's so twisted, I know, but they are cats and pets. So yeah, the name called Love, L-A-V, Love, but I call him Adi. I call
the one that
Adi.
has the love on the body, right?
Yeah, at the around the butt area. And yeah, that's pretty cute as well. And it's a she, and it's a very small cat, short Himalayan cat.
That's a fun fact of cats for you guys. But fun fact that AKG now wants to try to take out Prime. It's going to be interesting if AKG can eliminate Prime. They hold now 2.7 mil.
For Prime, it's best to go for extraction right now. It's quite a number of high-value loot because right now on AKG have minus of value. He's definitely going to go for the eliminations here and try to steal it in the very last minute. Perhaps that's going to be the plan, because it's always fun to see gatekeepers around the extraction point nearby where Primes actually stand. So BD coming up from the back line. So AKG, their plan all along has been try to gatekeep the teams trying to extract out possibly.
Yeah, so if it works out for them, it will be great. Not only they can stop them from cashing in, they can also collect those loots for themselves. And AKG, they got another knock. Okay, Prime. Now, so we don't know what's the value of that knock player, right? But he's safe. Okay, he's back up again. Now, Monkey's position is compromised, so he dives into the water, but he cuts across, and now he wants to go in for the elimination. And looks like Prime is still running away from AKG.
Yeah, I mean, that's high-value loot, man. Bunker Poke. We've seen how his firepower, his attempt to hold the grounds will probably gonna go down in vain since he couldn't actually help his teammate. Now the loot start to minus itself, its value as well. Oh, it dropped so much. It was worth 1 million just now on Bunker Poke.
Oh, man, 1 million on the ground right now, up for grabs. And look at the timer. We have less than 3 minutes more to go. Oh, that is just devastating. They have to just bail out now.
Oh, they try to salvage whatever they can. But AKG, no looting, no problem. They try to go for the steals instead. And that was a cheeky, cute, sneaky plays by them. But on nongYing, that's going to be the last play of Prime. They need to eject all of them out. If not, it will not be counted with 2 minutes on the clock remaining. Hopefully, he can eject himself safely for Prime.
cheeky, cute, sneaky, everything in the bag. And for AKG, they still have the 3 players. I wonder if they got that loot from Prime. I believe they did. So that shot them up to 2.1 mil. Prime, one more player to go. I believe it's time to go now because we have less than 2 minutes left.
Oh, make it very, very close to the last one for Prime play. He's waiting for the rest of AKG to exit out first so he can actually made it out alive. But that was a big value on side of Bunker Pork, and it was stolen away by AKG in the very last minute. They pushed all the way to 2 millions with 2 eliminations too. I mean, like, but at least Prime, they scored 7 eliminations, right? So now it's about time just for extraction. If Prime last player couldn't get out, that's back to 0 as well.
Yeah, and nongYing is the one. Okay, I believe the extraction point is just like somewhere below him. So maybe he was hoping for like exit frags, but nobody came his way. Okay, nongYing, no one else. You're the only man left here. Okay, it's time to go. Time to go home, boy. Mama's calling. Oh, time to go. Bye. Come on. Okay, you can go now. Someone got to tell nongYing that it's done.
Yeah, nongYing is just you now. He's waiting for it's 100% clear. I think he's paranoid right now. He's traumatized by the surprise attack. It's gonna be go time for last play of Prime. That's gonna conclude our run. Yeah, but yeah, I do know as long as the extraction point didn't move away, it's gonna be fine. He definitely wants to try to go for more. He's trying to check if there's anybody else down there. But 10 seconds on the clock. It's gonna be him flying to the clouds and exit out. That's concluding our run this time.
Yep, and it is going to be a pretty straightforward round, I must say, since we saw like early eliminations, and then after that there was like a lot of space for the remaining teams that's on the ground. Boom Esports, they did not get involved with fights, and they are the team with the highest value here of about 4.4 million, and they extracted cleanly without losing anyone in the process.
For Prime, they lost worth almost, I think, around 2 million value just now with the surprise attack coming up from AKG. But I love how AKG played this one. They are definitely playing a different strat entirely. They didn't go for looting almost none. And just steals away in the very last minute. Now, there's a couple of other extraction points, and it's kind of a gamble for AKG to play that one out to just see if this extraction point will be taken by another team, and they scored it.
Yeah, they did. 7 eliminations for them. So that's 2.1 million just like that. Different strategies deployed. So AKG, you have the team that's like, okay, we try to get eliminations. And then you got Boom, who tries to go for loot and avoid all other fights. So we can see like the variable of a type of plays here by these teams. And it was interesting the fact that AKG was the one to actually eliminate the star team nongYing earlier on. So that is a big flex for them. I guess their confidence level rose up significantly to try to gain elimination points, went up after eliminating nongYing.
It was Prime just now that defended against nongYing, and it
was Prime, right?
Yeah, it kind of contributed a lot when it comes to eliminations too. Thanks to that, at least they will not be that heartbroken when they're being robbed of AKG when it comes to loot as well. So it's not all in vain, despite they only have 2 players by the end of it for Prime.
Yeah, so okay round for Prime too. But we need to look at like the total scores, right? We have a rough idea of like, okay, this one, 7 eliminations, 2.1 mil, and then you add on to whatever that they have. So this will also be the question of like, will there be another team that has more than Boom by the end of the next round, especially once we tabulate the full scores, because we're starting to see like this different strategy might just work out for these teams. Now, whether it's a championship winning strategy or not, it's still debatable, but we're still at that stage where the objective is to be in the grand finals, and that's about it.
Yeah, but I hope we have another season next time for Metro Royale and just put into the ideas of the development side at PUBG Mobile, of course, you guys. we can actually have the flare gun. The moment the flare gun activates the circle of extraction point, it's going to be 30 seconds of the helicopter to fly in to grab the players. And that's where things get rowdy. For the teams like AKG, this is definitely going to be a good improvement in the game too.
Yeah, they will probably love that. They will probably love that. And all the other features that we talk about, like, if you summon the helicopter, a siren goes out, that place on the minimap shows up for every team, and not only the siren, and then like the zombies just come in hordes, like the bosses show up, the multiple bosses show up. It became like a hard work. And of course, just to reward the players who dare to take that sort of move, right? Because our theme here is fortune favors the brave. So if they're brave enough to do that, then they get rewarded by lots of loot. But of course, they have to survive like the horde and also the potential of other teams coming that area.
Yeah, they also factor in like the flare gun. We finally get to see it in good use because it's always been in the game for a long time. And the flare gun can actually give away the position of the teams. Like sometimes you can hear the siren and what sort, but you never know where they are, direction of it, right? So the flare gun will give away the position as well. And speaking of which, I hope that's going to be the next season, hopefully. It's going to be a lot of work for developers too. But it's going to be fun to watch, definitely, till the very end, if that's the case. But back to the numbers, Cloud. You talked about, will there any other teams challenging Boom? Probably going to be prime for the next one. Unfortunately, if they cashed out all the players, their value probably have more than Boom just now.
Yeah, so the total points here is after cash out. So they're behind Boom by about 900,000, which is not too far. It sounds like a big number, right? But 900,000 is like, in Metro Royale, it's like, it's okay. It's an okay amount. The thing here is that only MetroMini is not able to cash out at all. At least, no, although they went out, they still collected the 900,000. So that's still okay for them. But our chosen one this time is Pyro from Boom Esports, collected 2.8 mil.
One of the highest, but just now it was Zombie Uprising, so the numbers can be greater for the next one. And I assume Boom probably gonna double up their earnings here for the next map, which gonna be the Misty port. But for this time, aside from Aria, we had almost the entire day for our MVP. We'll finally have a different name this time because they are not playing for FLS. So will Pyro stays our MVP for the next map as well? We're gonna wait and see. And speaking of the next map, Cloud, it means higher value of loot, right? If AKG pull off another one again and manage to stash in their bullets towards the teams that have double-digit amount of millions by the end of the extraction point, that's something else.
Yeah, and what's something else is, well, our first match recap for this grouping. Boom Esports immediately evaded every single fight, went straight on to the mine warehouse, and they just did their thing there and not have a care about whatever fights that's happening elsewhere. Prime had to fight with nongYing, and then they fought with HLV after that, and they scored those elimination points through two different teams who actually came to their area until they had to face off with AKG, and they had a bit of a cat and mouse chase there, leaving Naeem alone.
Yeah, it took him for quite some time to make sure that the coast is clear. I think he was still quite worried, and he knows this. He still got some values of loot, despite it's not as big as his teammate just now that being finished off way early on. But at least it still translates into some certain points by end of today. But so far when it comes to the gap, my god, it's just so big.
Yeah, they still have a very, very big gap here. But of course, to be fair, like teams like Sem9, Boom, they played lesser games as compared to FLV. But on page 2, ETS is still the only team without any points at all. So they really need to go back to the drawing board on this.
FaZe Clan is painful to watch. We saw how they are actually one of the teams that might actually score so big at first, but it's just so difficult for them to finish off the run. But when it comes to the recap, I mean, the domination of FLS and the Indonesian team definitely have a better grasp about this game, tactical and strategy as well, and about the technicalities too. Now, I do want to see if we can see somebody else take away when it comes to this last map, which is going to be Misty Port. I'm looking for especially teams like AKG.
Yeah, so nongYing as well. Looking forward to seeing whether they can perform and bounce back again. But before they bounce back and perform, we are going to perform first. Okay, my next attempt, right? PUBG Mobile's Airdrop Carnival is officially open. Call your friends to join a pirate bash. Explore the Ocean Odyssey new theme area, Pirates Booty Island. Collect airdrop tokens and head to the Airdrop Carnival in-game event for a guaranteed set or emote of your choice.
I think he's possessed by now, guys. I'm scared. Not gonna lie. I'm
setting the bar for Contra, okay?
Good luck with that, Contra. That's gonna be a high benchmark for you. But Galadra exit also available for you guys right now. I'm broken here after that ad's voice just now. Don't forget, this is gonna be from 6 to 13 of August. There's a lot of things happening here during August. I mean, like, even now Independence Day for Malaysia too, and Indonesia, Happy Independence Day. They had it last week. Next week is going to be Malaysia next. But speaking of the next map, Misty Port. Now, I mean, nongYing just going to go for the frags and brawls early on. The thing is, right, Cloud, if you go for brawls early, the teams that you're fighting against, they don't really have that much loot yet.
Yeah, I know, right? So the value that you get out of them is that 300,000 per player, and that's pretty much about it. I agree. Like, fights will be more valuable, like, towards the later stages, right? So, but yeah, they don't seem to be a team that shies away from fights. Like, they see that one player, they know you're behind the tree, they would just go for it. They don't really care about, like, oh, how much loot are you carrying on your back? I would expect to see them doing the same in this final round.
Speaking of the final round, can we have a new contender against FLS by end of this one? This is where they want to push the numbers up because it's going to be a better loot compared to the Zombie Uprising. Yes, it's a very similar sort of map, but it's going to be offering very different type of bosses, mobs, even loot value. So Radiation Zone probably going to be the prime spot for all the teams that really want to push their numbers up because it's going to be double the value than all the other places outside. We're going to have to wait and see will there be any top contenders there, because so far I see after week 1 done, week number 2, a lot of teams don't really prioritize Radiation Zone anymore.
Yeah, except for maybe Boom, who did that earlier on. And if we look at their spawn, okay, it's quite far away from them, but I wouldn't be surprised if they actually went there at the other day after going through a couple of other checkpoints. But while traveling there, the possibility of meeting with AKG is there, since AKG is on top of them around the school area. Whereas on the south side, okay, nongYing, okay, they're traveling towards HLV. So this might be an interesting fight.
We do know nongYing never have what loot. We still battle royale mode, guys, till the end of the day. We're talking about G9, Assassin, Goddard, and even Martin down there. So this guy is definitely gonna go for the guns.
Yeah, like what points? Like all we know is like, oh, chicken dinner, 20 points. 1 point per elimination. That's all they know, right? And that's where they're going for it. Look at this G9, keeping an eye on the HLV. Now they're gathering information. The only thing that they don't have here, or one of the key things that they don't have here as compared to the regular Battle Royale mode, is that they don't have vehicles. Imagine if they had vehicles. Like, they will be circling around the entire map just looking for targets.
I'm glad we don't have vehicles here. I mean, the most that these players can actually get, I hope it's just going to be bicycles, or we have like the two-wheel scooters. But HLV, this is nongYing we're talking about. G9 taking advantage of their unawareness, going with the zip line to finish off the job. Oh, we got shot down.
Oh, okay. Quickly reacted. That's a fast one. And I really like how G9 executed his shot like in a straight line on side to get 2 knocks back to back. So Great work by G9. Boom Esports looks like they are in a fight here with another team as well, AKG. And you talked about like how much you want to see AKG perform this round, but they have to win the fight against Boom first.
Yep. Two high caliber teams of firepower. BD got the rooftop. He spot all the players up, but he gave it away his position just now. At least the bullet's still a lot in his stash down there. For Boom, on the other end, it's going to be a 1v. He's just taking the other way round, playing around a bit of peekaboo. I see you. They have no clue. Oh, he's going in through the smoke. BD. Ugh. Close enough.
And landed nothing there. Now BD is going to be the last man as Monk went down. Now they're going to go all in onto him. 3 eliminations so far for Boom Esports, and BD fights back. He gets one knock. BD is pretty low. He needs the space to heal up. He does have the healing utilities, but now he has to find the time.
I am Jago. Well, Boom definitely plays like FLS last week, but this time, I mean, this group definitely more like a brawl group. I am Jago. He doesn't have a lot of loot. Last time we seen him as the backpack for the team, but Pyro was the MVP before Boom, unfortunately, bumped into AKGs for LBD. And they have to deal with this, like it or not. And this is going to be waste so much of their time regarding their looting phase, and having one player lost out early. That's a lot of pocket on that one player.
Well, we're back on the HLV versus nongYing. And now Ate is going to hold down the line. I wonder if he's the last player for HLV. Nope, he's not. He has another teammate together with him. But okay, we got Alex here on screen. So 2 different angles by them. But they're going up against 3 players from nongYing. So at least they got 1 elimination. So that probably gave them that slight motivation to like, okay, we probably come up with an upset. But maybe these 2 teams are not interested anymore. It looks like a truce between them.
But at least on the bright side of HLV, the one that actually survived is Ate. Is pretty good himself when it comes to the moment I mentioned Ate being knocked down as well. And we have the trying a battle between 3 teams here. Despite this is not a battle royale, it's a Metro Royale, but everybody just gonna go for the plays instead. I feel bad for HLV, leaving only Alex left, but nongYing might bump into the MOMs here.
Yeah. So MOM might be a yummy target for nongYing. Okay, SO, he is being shot at. So that also gave away the information that somebody is across. So MOM better be prepared to defend now.
I think also get shot down by the soldiers around. I think I spotted one soldier that kind of had a headshot inside of a nongYing. But HLV resort to swimming underneath the bridge, and where to go next for Alex? He got some values, but barely enough to recover for the loss of the team yet. It's on minus $1 million, because they have to extract out when it comes to the loot of the players too, for our preload. So that's going to be a lot of catching up to do for Alex. But at least worst case scenario, right? They still got 1 elimination into their earnings as well.
Yeah, and Alex has 368,000. So if he's able to cash that one out, he'll be pretty happy with the current situation. Back on to nongYing. Okay, the last we saw, MOM is close by. And yes, they are still near. Now, Martin is trying to find out the position of the members of MOM, and they kind of have an idea that they're at that one direction just above them. So being a team that is so used to taking fights for many, many years, I think they'll be interested to take it head on.
Definitely tailing the MetroMini team. Well, looting is never in their mind here for the side of nongYing, honestly. It's like, what timer, what looting? We always see is going to be objects being shot by these guys, but Cheeselove gained so much information just now with the scope. Got himself Martin down. I don't think nongYing knows exactly where he stands.
Yeah, looks like information is not there, but the trigger discipline is definitely there for the 2. So Cheeselove still monitoring the situation. Martin is back up, so they're back as a trio. But 12 more minutes to go. But both teams are really taking the time here, not really focusing on the loot at all. nongYing, well, just look at their numbers, right? They're negative right now with that one player eliminated. Even MOM, they're not even 1 million yet. So teams like Prime, teams like Boom, they'll be happy to just go around the map doing their own thing, while these two teams lock with each other.
Yeah, but lucky for Prime, at least AKG being eliminated early, because from what we've seen, AKG is the only one that's capable of doing gatekeeping at the extraction point by far. I don't see anything coming up from nongYing like that before, so maybe the case of Prime, after they probably looted up to close to 10 millions, or even it's possible to hit even 50 million in this map right now, they're probably just going to put themselves out ASAP because they don't want to jeopardize how the last map actually played out for them.
Yeah, not a bad idea though. Not a bad idea. At least you cash in something rather than nothing, right? So we'll continue to see if that's going to be the case for them. But for nongYing and also MOM, I mean, we've seen this kind of thing before, right? Like you are locked in together for the longest time. You don't really loot, that's one. And then sometimes because you're so focused on locking out each other, you miss out on the timing and you don't extract yourself within the 20 minutes.
Taking in too long here. Talking about time is definitely a big factor for the teams out there. This is where we hope the red zone actually arrived to. For example, the compound, if the teams overstay themselves more than a minute in that particular compound, they're going to start to spawn the red zone. That'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, just to force them to move as well, right?
Yeah.
But everyone will be like, like this, we're going to stay here for the next 10 minutes and we forgot about our time. And then the timer just goes out and nobody wins except for maybe Prime or Boom, who's just doing their own thing. So yeah, the red zone idea is pretty nice and it could be used in this sort of situations. Like if you stay too long at one place, the red zone will be called upon you. You cannot not move.
Yeah, how much time would you put up for not moving in this certain aspect of game?
I'm evil. I'll give them 10 seconds.
Holy smoke, that's too short. I'm probably gonna be the max around 1 minute, the least probably 30 seconds. But nongYing, I mean, everybody's running to a sort of Martin right now, but same as MOMs, they want to finish off the job. Oh, one last tick of health.
Oh, here we go. Looks like they probably heard oh, no, we don't want to give them the idea of the red zone. Okay, let's do something. Okay, now, a knock, cool. Martin will be picked up. Not going to be an issue. He does have enough cover here. And I noticed that Godard is behind the members of MOM. So here we go. We have him on screen right now. The backstab could happen.
Fighting back SO Zip. MOM, this seems to be in shambles now. Well, the entire group being finished off. I mean, nongYing, this is what I question, right? Despite he got such amount of eliminations, but I think it's a bit too early. And that's not much loot on side of MOMs as well. It feels like it's not worthy to find. It's not worth their time to overexpend their time too much around the early stage. Yeah, maybe they can get a couple of loots here and there, but it would be way much fun to actually see them wait it out around the extraction point and just get those loot in the very last minute,
Yeah, that will make more sense, right? From a strategical standpoint, rather than you try to block off teams like this at this stage. So, and the worst part is that it did not bring them any return as they got eliminated by nongYing. But nongYing will be happy to pick up the 6 points as they are a team that likes to focus on taking fights. So they'll be pretty happy with the 6 eliminations. Now it's a matter of whether they want to go and look for other teams. I mean, we've got 8 more minutes more to go. And if they were to do so, they have to calculate okay, will there be enough time for us to extract ourselves then? That will be the second question.
Speaking of extraction, we might actually have 2 teams fighting for the same extraction point of the radiation zone because Boom is heading towards this direction too. Now, if Naeem don't worth too much, so it's still going to be okay. At least he can just tell the rest of the team that there's gonna be a lot of teams. And speaking of, at least they lost nongYing, so he's not that high value player that they hope for to extract out early. And that's such a valuable information for Prime to make a U-turn and go for another exit out. There's 2 entry into this compound, if I'm not mistaken, 2 tunnel entry. But for Prime, though, they need to figure out how to get out and find themselves an extraction point now.
Yeah, but it seems like they want to go in for the chase onto Boom first. Okay, and Puya is behind the members of Prime. So this is a potential backstab that might happen. It's just that it doesn't help that inside of a radiation zone, like your vision is quite limited. So it's not easy for him to even get the information of where the position of the players of Prime are at.
But Puya, if he actually finish off Keyboy, he himself, just Keyboy, worth over 4 million loot value. Now that's going to be the looter for the team. If they knock down on Keyboy, that's going to be devastating for Prime.
Yeah, so that's what they'll be looking forward to, right? To find that main looter. Okay, now they don't have the information. Prime is quite open. Okay, they open up the space, but then again, Ayam Jago! Double knockdown for Boom Esports! And they overcame Prime!
Oh, Keyboy worth almost 5 million. Look at how the numbers just went from 5 million to negative. My God! Boom! Holy smokes!
Well, so Boom Esports, they came up big here. And they will be able to lose. Just look at the numbers. The numbers will go up significantly. Alex, the final member of HLV, Hasta La Vista Esports, will say, Hasta La Vista, baby. I am out of here. But nothing much cashed in by HLV. But at least they end the round with some amount of points.
Boom shoot the numbers up straight to 7 millions after they looted up Keyboy 5 million worth of value. They don't even have close to that number before, and they might actually double it up to 10 millions or even more with 5 more minutes remaining. And nongYing, I mean, like, it's just nongYing now. The only obstacle that if the condition is going to be if they cross path.
Yeah. So we don't get a good view of where they are. So we don't really know yet. But Nong, yeah, you can see them. Yeah, they're more interested in like, okay, let's get more eliminations. But the bad news for them is that there's not much left for them. Unless if nongYing, they go to the radiation zone, then yeah, they will meet up with Boom. But if not, if they stay here, then it's more about winding down the time and extract when the moment comes.
Yeah, it's a bit far for them, and it's no time for them to go towards the radiation zone as well. So next step coming up from nongYing, probably trying to find with whatever loot they have left. At least it's not in negative anymore. And try to find the expression point as soon as possible. Even try to fight a boss. They probably can deal within 2 minutes with what they have left as their players. But elimination-wise, they got himself quite a number. But Boom, on the other hand, that's a different story. On top of that, 7 eliminations. Now hitting the double digit towards 10 million with that surprise attacks on Prime. Now, Prime definitely devastated right now. 2 times in a row, Cloud. It was AKG first, and the second was taken by Boom in the very last minute, too.
Yeah, and Boom will say thank you for the early Christmas present. Look at this. They're close to 10 million in this round. And the last we checked, Boom Esports, they were leading like between this group. So if they are able to get this one out alive, in which I would expect them to be able to do so, they're the only one in the radiation zone. The extraction point will be here. It's a matter of how much more they can cash in by now.
They have to find their extraction point. Don't forget about that. If they fail to cash out the 12 mil by the end of this round, now that's something else entirely, right? That's a different level of heartbreak.
Yeah, but I mean, by now we all know that the extraction point is at the radiation zone or that rooftop. No other team is close by. The only disaster that could potentially happen is that a boss shows up, takes them out. But even then, they have the number of players. I don't see Boom dropping out now. But of course, if we want to create like a scenario, then that's probably going to be it.
Yeah, the scenario will be, the moment they want to extract out all the last player, and that's where the boss spawn for that one player left extracting out. That's the downside of you getting one by one booted out instead of going all at the same time. If that's the case for Boom and leaving one player out till the very last minute to boot out and the boss happened to respawn and he didn't get killed by that, then it's like still a 0 point by the end of the day for Boom.
Yeah, that will be a nightmare for them, right? Yeah. Well, we'll get our answer in about 2 more minutes. So they are now traveling, navigating around the tunnel, and they're exiting. So I would say that they're already on their way to the extraction point. Now, this is where the ideas that we mentioned earlier would be great. Like, you thought that you are safe. You thought that, like, okay, we've got like 11 million in the pocket, yada, yada. Just for the signal to sound and the horde of zombies to eliminate you at the very end.
Zip is there.
Oh. Okay.
He might be the big boss they have to think about.
Okay.
Oh, he's
yes.
Oh no.
Oh, yes.
That is worth 12 million.
Okay. Waiting for them to pass by. Okay, he saw the final players of Boom. Okay, Zip, he's gonna pull the trigger. Okay, he's up. He shoots. Okay, tries to get a knockdown, but no knockdown yet. Oh, Boom Esports, they cannot extract 11 million in the bag, but they cannot bring anything out now until they take out Zip.
But for Zip, this is gonna be a lose-lose because if he don't get himself booted out, but if he actually bought time, nongYing, if he being eliminated in the very last second and Boom did not extract out of the players, he went down early, then Boom have nothing left by the end of the day, and at least nongYing still can get some scores.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Man, he's just made a party. Booyah! No! Zip! Last minute from the bag! And he will have enough time. He has enough time to go back out.
Oh, man. What a turn.
He's out in time. He is out.
He didn't take the 2 million from the stash just now. He didn't know. He knows he didn't have the time. But what a turn of events at the last minute. That's going to deduct around 2 or I think around 3 million just now.
Okay.
That was 12, close to 12. That's 3 million worth. That last player to boot out didn't make it through.
Yeah, SOZ was banking onto like eliminating the entire Boom, but Boom Esports, they still managed to have players eject and they still managed to cash in 9.6 million, the highest value among all the other teams here. But that is something. That is what we want to see more. Teams camp out, wait out for these high-value teams to pass by and try to eliminate all of them.
The more reason for PUBG Mobile to do the Metro Royale with the flag gun and the helicopter, right? This is the reason why it's so much fun to have those mechanics later on, because not just the players have to reconsider about their timing, they have to buy themselves a bit more early to get out. And giving away the position just like that with the flag gun. Imagine if that happens in all the games of Metro Royale. My God, that's going to be super fun to watch.
And that is insane. That is absolutely crazy, man. Oh, man. That could have been like the drama of the day. If he actually get all of them, that's like the most dramatic moment the entire day. It is just insanely crazy.
It was worth 12 million. At least it got cashed out 9 million worth of loot by the end of the day. He whiffed it just a tiny bit due to the iron side of the AKM. But imagine if he got himself an M4 with an 8x scope during that time and they actually move in a straight line. He shot all of them down and just put himself out in the last minute. That's crazy.
You know what would have made it happen is that if he has his other teammates with him. Like, they all plan to wait. Like, the other 2 other players are there with Martin there. Boom Esports wouldn't stand a chance.
Oh my god, that's gonna be super heartbreaking. And if they got extra time, they can actually just take the cash out or the loot from their death boxes and turn off event. They are the one that ended up with the 12 million. Now that's gonna be something else. Oh man, the frustration in this tournament sometimes is just so fun to watch.
Yeah, it could have been. It could have been. Right? Oh man, this is that was insane. The last minute thingy. But to a certain extent, like the bet kind of paid off for them, right? Because if you think about it, Boom Esports could have gone to any other extraction point, but they so happened to go to that extraction point that SOZip was at. So it had to have like the stars aligned for that to happen.
It was a big gamble, but yeah, it was worth the gamble for nongYing in the last minute. But despite of that, unfortunately for nongYing, well done effort by SOZip. On the side of Boom, they still managed to cash out 12, almost close to 12 million. But if they had another extra 3 million, it's definitely going to close to be around 50 millions by the end of the day. But at least they still scored something, and it's a big one as well. But for the rest of the others, Prime is going to be one of the saltiest one of them all.
Yeah. Prime, 0 points this time. Man. And they lost a lot of points to Boom Esports. I mean, that's just happened, right? But we got to celebrate Pyro as the chosen one again. Second time around, he's the chosen one. And he brought 6.2 mil with him.
If they scored Pyro just now for SOZip, oh man! And this was from Keyboy before. That was a Prime player that worth almost 5 million. I assume Pyro actually loot up from his death box after they finish off. But if Boom actually got hit back by nongYing, now that's karma speaking, because they did that to Prime before this.
Yeah, I know, right? If it was him, that would be a totally different story. Then we might see nongYing being the top point collector. But let's check out the match recap here. Okay, so Prime went to the mine warehouse first. Boom Esports, they came in later, but they went from checkpoint to checkpoint, and then they ended up in the mine warehouse. That's where they fought with Prime, and we all know what happened after that. But I really love the position by Booyah that just to circle around and backstab a Prime, and that was one of the key moves that actually brought them those points in.
Oh, that's so zip. This was the highlight. If he actually shoot down on Pirate, I think that's why the reason they left with that one play with the least amount of value to stay back. So they can have Pyro booted out and extracted out safely, because he was the highest value player across Boom players. But we do have a new contender coming up with 2 rotation of the map just now. Boom managed to shoot up to 16 million. This might be the catch-up game for FLS and Boom later tomorrow.
Yeah, and Boom only played like 2 games today. So tomorrow we're going to even up all the games. By the end of the day, that's where we'll truly see who's on top and who's at the bottom. So teams on page 1, we do see a slight gap here between Boom as well as 7-9 even. They played the same amount of games, but the gap is like, 11 million between these two. Followed by nongYing, who has a very cute logo, by the way. Got to highlight that. But on page 2, ETS, after the entire day, they are the only team to not gain any points at all.
They tried challenge FLS. It didn't work out. They've been challenged early by different teams, so they're done being the victim. But things just don't work out when it comes to those fights for ETS. But at least tomorrow we're still gonna have another day for week number 2, so it's gonna be the same map rotation, but A and D, B and D, and back to B and C. So we're gonna have a lot of B group for tomorrow as well as the Ds.
Yep, and it's going to be the same timing tomorrow. So don't forget to subscribe and also follow the pages of PUBG Mobile Esports wherever you're watching this, on whichever platform, so that you do not miss out on Metro Royale action tomorrow. Of course, we're going to start it off before the actual Battle Royale PMSL mode, and that will be our segment. Next, of course, this is wrapped up for today. Do stay tuned for the PUBG Mobile Super League Southeast Asia Battle Royale mode that will be coming up later this evening.
Yep, in just a couple of hours next. So we have, I love this, I love the Metro Royale, but we're gonna have to wait for tomorrow for our following sequence. But that's gonna be a wrap up from me and Cloud for now. See you guys later. Don't forget to stay tuned. See you guys tomorrow for Metro Royale. Have fun, guys. Bye bye.